Thank you all for your patience in waiting for us. Greatly appreciated. Ms. Burgess, please report out from the closed session.
Yes, on the first closed session item, council provided direction to make an offer, which if accepted would come back to city council for final approval in an open session. And then on the second item, council provided direction to the city attorney's office.
Thank you. And with that, we will close the closed session. And we will now open the regular open session for Tuesday, February 10th. Roll call, please.
Yes, Mayor. Mayor Gilman.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Mang.
Here.
Councilmember Rule.
Here.
Councilmember Lang.
Here.
Councilmember Whitman.
Here.
Thank you very much. And would you lead us in the pledge, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
Welcome, Honorable Mayor, Council, and Community. Please rise as you are able. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. On the agenda, one item I would like to make a change on would be, I would like to move number 15, the approval of the professional services agreement with help of Ojai, to basically the, I guess, first discussion item in our current place number 8. If you agree to that.
I agree to that.
Okay.
Do we
Anything
need
else?
a motion to approve the, I'm sorry.
Oh, does anybody object? Okay, any other changes to the agenda? Yes. Okay,
I'll move approval.
thank you. Second. Any objections? Okay. All right. Commission reports. We have one from the Arts Commission. Thank you. Yes. Wonderful. Wonderful.
For the record, I'm Christine Steiner, the Vice Chair of the Arts Commission, and
Thank
I
you.
bring you greetings from our Chair, Smitty West. First, we want to thank you for the appointment of Bradley Tabak Bank. Bradley has great board experience, and Brad is ready to get to work, and we look forward to working with him, so thank you for that. We'll miss David Leeds. David has been very helpful with the city art collection and other matters, and David knows that he's always welcome to continue to participate with us on committees, however he would like. As I'm sure you know, the grants checks went out to grantees in the past few weeks, ahead of schedule from years past. And thanks to your budget appropriations, there will be 100,000 sparks of creativity throughout this community in the upcoming year. And that's very exciting. We expect it will yield great results. Your investment in the arts sector has been widely discussed throughout the community, and it's part of Chair West's push for looking at the creative economy as a whole. Our staff liaison, Bridget, is nodding, having gone through all of these, basically meeting by meeting. I would be remiss if, in addition to thanking you, I did not also thank Commissioner Karina Wright and her community committee of volunteers for their hours of work during this grant cycle. In fact, I ran into one of the members of the committee to say a thanks, and this member with wide eyes said it was a lot of work. So they deserve our thanks. In other commission news, Commissioner Pamela Grau continues an impressive program of educational seminars on arts-related topics. These free-of-charge programs are standing room only, and they're on topics such as social media, how to market yourself, how to market your art, contracts, copyright, all kinds of interesting topics. And we thank the Ojai Valley Museum as well as the Carolyn Glasso Bailey Foundation for lending their facilities for these standing room only seminars. I chair the Public Art Committee. I'll be coming to you for conservation of the Big Red Roller. That is the Ted Gall sculpture in the skate park. It's in deplorable condition. It's fading, it's chipping, it's pitting, it really needs attention. As I mentioned in our joint meeting, maintenance is always cheaper than conservation, but we're behind with deferred maintenance, and so we have some catch-up to do. In that regard, on the city manager's desk for attention. Oh, no, am I really? Am I being called? May I continue?
Please, and I assume you're almost done.
I am almost
Okay,
done.
please
I'm
go.
almost done. Letters will be going out to business owners who have works that are city works pursuant to the Percent for Art program. They're under the obligation to maintain those, and we haven't really been monitoring that, but that's going to happen. Finally, and because I'm almost done, I'd say that I do hope our city council liaisons will attend our meeting. You know, that's on our agenda, and we're sad and lonely when we don't see you to see what we do and to learn what you do. And in conclusion, we're working hard, we're working well, and we thank you for your faith in us. And we look forward to the new city attorney coming to talk with us at some point soon. If no questions, thank you so much.
Any questions? Thank you so much.
Thank
Boy, what a
you.
joy. For a future agenda item, I was thinking commission reports maybe could go to 5 minutes as council reports do, but something to talk about in the future. Okay, moving on. Any more commission reports? Mr. Montgomery, no? Okay, thank you. City manager report, please.
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to turn things over to Ms. Cervantes.
Great.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Harvey, Mayor, City Council. We're pleased to announce that last week we launched the pilot route for the trolley, which is running every 30 minutes, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And that's definitely a milestone that follows a 50% increase from the previous year in 2024. And that's thanks to council support and, of course, the hard work of our trolley team for building that trust and consistency with the community. We will be going out to hire new trolley drivers because the 3 that were in backgrounds, 2 have decided to not follow through with the process because of personal problems. But aside from that, we will be going out. So exciting things are happening.
Thank you. That's very encouraging. Anything else?
Oh, no, Mayor, thank you.
No? Okay. Thank you very much. I'll move to public communications. I have Ron Solarzano, Brian Brennan, and Larry Stengel, please.
Okay. Thank you very much, members of council. It's been a while. Some scheduling issues kept me from being here for a bit, but I'm so happy to be here to give you an update on the Ojai Library. The first and maybe most noticeable update is that the Ojai Library is still open. We've been planning this renovation for some time. As is often the case with construction, there have been delays, but we are making progress. We're making some good progress. In fact, this week we should be getting the final estimates from the contractors so that we can have some concrete numbers as far as start dates and duration. So we're really hoping that soon we'll have something that we can actually share with the community that will be letting people know how long it's going to be that we're going to have to be closed for those renovations. That does mean that the library will be closed for that time. It's hopefully going to only be a few months, and then we'll be back and better than ever. In the meantime, we are still going on with programming at the Ojai Library. We have all of our normal programming for adults and children. That includes the Ukulele Club meeting on Mondays, the Shakespeare Salon Monday evenings. It includes our adult crafting and wonder workshop on Sundays, story time Wednesday morning for the children, and our after-school enrichment center Monday through Thursday from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. In addition, we also are going to have, actually we have this week, we have a Valentine's Day themed scavenger hunt going on at the library. Children can participate in the Love Your Library scavenger hunt. We send them all around the library looking for clues, and when they finish, they can select a button or a sticker prize from the front desk. As we get through February, on February 22nd, we're going to be having another special event for the little ones. This is going to be our Pokemon Day. We're going to have special crafts and activities relating to Pokemon, including I'm told, a pin the tail on the Pikachu activity that's going to be going
Cool.
on. So that's going to be going on at 12:30 on February 22nd. Again, all the usual stuff is still going on. As soon as we have updates on the renovation, we will share them with you. If anyone has any questions, of course, I'm here now, but you can always reach out to me at the library, and I'm happy to answer anything as well. And that's all I have for now.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Brian Brennan, please, Larry Steingold, and then Clay Creasy.
For the record, Brian Brennan with County Supervisor Matt Levere's office.
Hello.
Honorable Mayor, council members, and staff. I'm here this evening to promote the Community Emergency Response Training Program in partnership with the County Supervisor Matt Levere, Ventura County Fire Department, and your own city manager, and you as for the residents of your city. I did want to say this will be the first class that actually will take place inside the city. The building's now been certified. Kent Hall is a bit better space and able to be acclimated to hold up to about 35 participants.
Mm-hmm.
The program educates, I want to say that this is a program that was initiated back when County Supervisor Steve Bennett in 2006 was in office, and when the floods came and closed down the roads, and everybody was stuck here for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody was like, after coming out of that, it was like, we need to be better prepared for that. This program educates citizens about local hazards, such as fires and floods, and trains them in basic disaster response and survival skills. The training enables individuals to provide immediate assistance to victims in their own households and in their surrounding neighborhoods. While it's true that we have an incredible cadre of first responders, the reality is that during a major disaster, we all need to be prepared to have enough supplies and training to shelter in place upwards of 96 to 120 hours. Help can't be everywhere at once. That said, over the last 18 years, over 1,500 people have been trained in CERT here in the city and in the Ojai Valley. I need to give a shout out to your city manager, Mr. Harvey, and assistant Bridget, thank you, who have been very supportive in the marketing and promoting of this class, and to hold the very first class in this very room. I also need to give a shout out to council members Lang and Rule. Thank you for signing up, for being a part of those numbers. If there was one more of you, it would have created a Brown Act violation. So I wanted to make sure
darn.
you guys missed it by that much.
No,
but
no.
Next time. Yeah.
There's got to be a way around that.
We'll get you there. Yeah, if you're interested.
And March 19th is the first date, correct?
It is. It's the first
March
date.
19th.
But I did want to state that because of the resources needed for the class, we need to get 25 participants. We have 10 signups presently.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay. We'll get there. We got 4 weeks. That's why I'm here promoting it.
Okay.
I'm not asking for this, but usually what happens is either a small tsunami or a little bit of an earthquake, and the class fills up instantly. I'm not asking for that, but generally that's been the nature of what happened in the past.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to say that City of Ojai and the Valley is very much part of wanting to be prepared for disaster, being able to come out of it with safety.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, and we look forward to seeing you.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Larry Steingold, Clay Creasy, and Sarah Alderson, please.
Thank you, Brian, for that. And thank you for signing up for CERT. The other people can also sign up also after this.
Mm-hmm.
Kudos for the website, for the business portal. If that's great, can we next try to see if we can get all the forms fillable? So we can do that online and do DocuSign so it can all be very efficient. Because I know right now it's more efficient for you, but it's not efficient for anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
So if you could make that fillable, that would be nice.
Mm-hmm.
Next, the lawsuits, please. Because we're the ones who may be paying for any of the litigation and the legal fees and the payments, I hope you win them all. Because the more you win, the less we have to pay. And if any of the stuff is self-inflicted, please correct those issues, because a lot of these lawsuits may or may not have been self-inflicted, but it's going to get really expensive, and I'm sure you're going to hear a lot of that over the next couple of hours, maybe. But still, I mean, try to win them, and the fact that it's going up so high obviously tells me that the risks and liabilities are getting rather large, because otherwise the amounts we're spending would be less. So I'm sorry, I've been in business enough to know that money chases money. So please manage the city in a manner that it's still here in 10 years, so that we all get to enjoy it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Clay Creasy, please, Sarah Alderson, and then Michael Inaba, if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Good evening, City Council members. Thank you for having me tonight to talk briefly. I want to talk about our city's financial controls, and every city's financial health really depends on two fundamental things. Number one, how much money you have in the bank. Number two, how good your control is of your financial affairs. I like to think about it a little bit like flying an airplane. The money in the bank equivalent is how much altitude you have, and your financial control equivalent is basically how good your pilot is. And the good news is when the weather's fair, ordinary pilots are just fine. But when it gets stormy, that's when you want a really good pilot. And unfortunately, I think we're headed for stormy weather on the budget front. Let me give you some details here. Over the last 3 years, the city's expenses have grown in the general fund roughly 50%. Our revenues have grown slightly less than 4%. So we've gone from a very healthy surplus to what is now forecasted for the current fiscal year that we are in is a $1.5 million deficit. That puts a very high premium on good financial management. And unfortunately, when I look at the list of all the things that to me constitute good financial management, I don't see very many being done well here. Let me give you a bunch of examples. We don't do quarterly financial updates. We've talked about it for a year plus. We don't do them. We don't do a multi-year financial projection. We do project capital spending out several years, but we don't project general fund income and revenues. Our budgeting discipline is very spotty. Case in point, tonight we're looking at doubling the legal budget 6 months after we set it. Our contract bidding discipline is virtually non-existent. We have debates whether we even need to follow the law or not. We pay vendors more than contract maximums, and we pay them after their contracts have expired. Where are the financial controls that are supposed to be in place to prevent that stuff? We have chronic workforce vacancies, which we blame on systematic, stresses in the workforce. But the bottom line is, if you pay money for people, they will come and work. Our legal costs are triple the norm for a city our size, and we have 6 law firms actively on our payroll. I think this is beyond the pale. Our consultant costs are ballooning, yada, yada. Lots of reasons why. The bottom line is we need to change course because we're in for a bumpy flight, and the last time I checked, we don't have any parachute. So please get serious on financial control. Listen to your budget committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Sarah Alderson, please, Michael Inaba, and then Sudeep Motupalli Rao.
Hello, good
Hello.
evening.
Hey.
I am the secretary of the United Democrats of the Ojai Valley, the new Democratic Club. I will be very brief. I'm just here to announce 2 events that we have coming up. The first of these is this Thursday, the 12th of February. It is going to be held at Oak Grove School, and it is with VC Defensa, who are going to be talking about ICE activity in the Ojai Valley, and specifically how we can work to protect the more vulnerable members of our community. So everyone is welcome. Don't have to be a Democrat. And that is at 6 to 7. And then the second event we're having is on the 22nd of February. That's a Sunday. And that is a town hall with the Ventura County Sheriff Freihoff. And he is going to be there to talk to us about whatever we want to ask him, but particularly about ICE and how the law enforcement is dealing with that in the Valley. So that again is open to everyone. There are details on our website, on our Facebook, and our Instagram. It is uw.org, and we have we have lots of social media. So please check us out. It is the United Democrats. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Michael Inaba and then Sudeep Motupali Rao. Am I pronouncing your last name correctly? Thank you.
My name is Michael Inaba. I'm a local arborist. I'm here to comment a little bit about the proposed changes in the tree ordinance. I wanted to see that.
Let me just pause you really fast. Only to say, that's an item that is coming
Of
up.
course, yes.
Okay.
I'm
Do
just,
you need to speak now and then?
I'm just saying hello. That's all.
Oh, okay. Say hello. Say hello.
Hello, everybody.
No. Don't leave. What I was trying to say is, we take the detailed comments when we get to that item, so that people can speak and comment. So I don't know if you can stay, because we do want to hear what you have to say.
Well, the letter is a little bit self-explanatory.
Okay.
And I wanted to make sure that that gets on the record.
You got
because I was given a very short amount of time. just like
Right.
1 day for something that's
Fair
been
enough.
developing for 3 years. So we'll get to that later.
Okay.
And hopefully we'll table it and have a chance to really discuss it.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay. Sudeep Motupali Rao, please.
Hello, everyone. I vouch for Michael Inaba's arborist services, and also I also want to share that I was one of the 10 people who signed up for the CERT class that.
Oh, great.
So I look forward to Rachel and Leslie.
Wonderful.
Yes, we as Ojai people who are listening out there and also who are there, let's get the 15 people we need so we can have this starting on March. So I'm here to just share about a couple of things quickly. We were initially planning on as part of the Ojai Valley Fire Safe Council to give the council members an update on our work in October, November, and December. Looks like the plate is full, and we're happy to do it, I believe, on the 24th.
Thank you.
Thank you. The other thing is that I wanted to announce to both all of you, and I'm looking forward to meeting individually, and I'm with the council members. If you can spare about 20, 30 minutes to identify leaders in your community, also to identify neighborhoods that you feel could potentially become Firewise communities, as well as also identify resources that we'd like to map. So we're doing a massive map of all the community resources in our Ojai Valley, so that these are resources that could come in handy when we have emergencies. And so these will go into the database so that our first responders can access them. So maybe all the churches, so I'm going to knock on all the doors for all the churches, schools, and all those kind of resources, which can come in handy. So I look forward to sharing about that. And our Wildfire Resilience Festival, this is something that the city has put in our mandate to actually provide. It's going to be on Saturday, April 25th at Sarzotti Park from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Once again, the last Saturday in April 25th. It's the Wildfire Resilience Festival, and we look forward to celebrating Ojai's journey towards becoming a fire-adapted community. And so from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., it's a family-friendly event, and you are all welcome, of course. And this is an invitation to all the Ojai Valley community members to come in, engage, learn about the different things that we have and how we can all collectively work together to actually make our valley resilient. So that's a key. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Looking forward to the presentation. That's all the cards I possess. Anybody online?
Yes, Mayor, we have one raised hand from
Thanks.
Mike.
Okay.
Mike, you have the ability to unmute, and you have the floor.
Thank you. The title of my talk is From Gymnastics to Housing, a Pattern of Ignored Advice and Poor Judgment in Ojai. Our city deserves management and leadership that listens, follows the rules, and protects public trust. When sound professional advice is offered, it should not be dismissed. By doing this, fiscal and legal consequences can impact our community. In June of 2025, the Finance Committee delivered a clear, data-driven warning to city management. They disclosed multiple budget expenses that increased over 45% in just 2 years. They presented analysis, specifics, and recommendations. Those warnings were kicked to the curb. A predictable result is upon us: serious budget problems. As we will hear tonight, legal spending and internal processes are now a big problem with the $710,000 budget overrun. This is not a bookkeeping error. It shocks and angers our community. Another area of concern is procurement. Procurement rules exist for a reason. Staff should have been advised to solicit competitive bids for over $300,000 of accounting services, a process that should have been followed. Instead, sole source contracts were awarded without competitive solicitation and without proper council directives. Qualified local and regional firms were bypassed. On top of that problem, these contracts have repeatedly exceeded their not to exceed dollar limits. In May of 2025, the city failed to challenge questionable legal rationale provided by Matt Summers. Rationale regarding the largest city-led housing project in Ojai's history, Cabin Village. Now, multiple construction management firms are angry after being denied a fair bidding process. Many people are shocked that a sole source contract was awarded to one firm, Dignity Moves. That project is now massively behind schedule, more than $1 million over budget, and in breach of its development management agreement. Please note, when legal advice is unclear or weak, it must be questioned. Matt Summers did us no favors on this subject. On the contrary, we were bullied. Bad judgment doesn't stop at procurement, finance, or housing. It reaches into the gymnastics program, the trolley service, personnel decisions, and even basic bid notice practices. Tonight, I'm asking you to reassess your approach, to respect the role of committees, commissions, and the rules that govern us, and commit to a responsible reboot of key project. Renew your commitment to the public trust. I believe Ojai's future depends on it. Thank you.
Thank you.
No more online, Mayor.
Thank you. Okay. Moving on. On the consent calendar, I had one question for number 1. I suspect other people may as well. Anything else that anybody would like to pull out of consent?
Well, I don't want to pull something, but we're making a couple of appointments, and I think it would be worthwhile to
I want to say that too.
report who we're appointing.
I want that as well. We have one present, and the other notified us that they cannot be here. So, yes, I don't want to pull them, but I want to acknowledge it too.
Right.
Thank you for that. Anything else to be pulled? No? Okay. So, maybe what we'll do is let's start with number 1, if that's acceptable. I'll just start if other people have questions. Mine's very simple. The question is on my master page 13, and it's Ojai Unified School District, $28,563 for the skate park. Is that an annual fee? There's just no time frames set on that.
Yes, it is an annual fee.
That's all
calendar
I need to
year.
know. Annual. Okay. And thank you very much. Okay, perfect. This is a public comment on. Am I seeing this as a public comment on number 5? On number 5 in the consent calendar? Okay.
We have not approved the consent calendar.
We have not
City
approved the
attorney
consent
has
calendar, yeah.
reminded me, so I guess that'd be no.
No. Okay, great. But any other questions on number 1, please?
I just have a couple.
Okay.
On page 11 with the Trappian and Smith.
Whoa, take it easy.
Wow.
Take it easy.
On page 11 for Trappian Smith, it says the $11,000 for graphic art services. Is that for graphic art or like our social media?
I believe that includes social media as well.
So that's included. Okay, and I think that's all.
And if I could just add to that, I
Sure.
think that also, it's an excellent question because it also relates to work done on the style guide, which is probably why it says graphic art, but it's both combined.
Okay.
They don't seem to break out by, I haven't noticed that they break it out in that way. I mean, in terms of what they're specifically working on, it's overall. Am I getting that correctly?
Pepe Smith? No,
Yes.
they do.
They do break it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Please continue.
And then just one more on page 15, payment to U.S. Bank National Association for credit cards. And I'm just curious because it says for November, but it was paid in January. And I'm wondering, so then late fees apply?
We haven't seen late fees incurred for the credit card payments.
Okay.
But on future statements, if that changes, I can notify you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate that.
No, great.
That's it.
Thank you for that. Okay, so shall I take the public comment on this one, number 5, and then we'll get an acceptance, or
We
we'll
could
go
go
out?
ahead and take public comment before we, because we hadn't yet approved the consent calendar.
Understood.
So we can go ahead and take public
Thank you
comment
so
on
much.
that.
So Anita Cram, please come up.
Good evening, everyone. So my comment is on appointments for the Planning Commission. I really feel like we're sorely lacking in the natural sciences on representing planning in our valley. We all know we live in a wildlife corridor, we live in a watershed, but I really don't see good representation of our natural environment in the planning process. So I would really like to encourage you to step away from lawyers, developers, builders, business people, and move into the natural sciences of someone who really understands what's happening in our environment out there and how what we build and what we plan affects that. Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, if I might, what I would encourage, there's still an opening. So if you know somebody that you think would be great for it, encourage them to apply.
I'll think on that.
Okay.
But you do it too.
We all do. We all do. But thank you for that.
Can I also point out
Please.
that, as has been pointed out here a number of times, there are criteria that we're people, occupations that we're supposed to give preference to, and that might have to be changed as well. I am 100% in support of what you're saying,
For sure.
but we will need to amend whatever that code is that lists the occupations that we should
Fair enough.
prioritize.
Yeah, we just don't want to have a drill, baby, drill
Okay.
kind of attitude.
Understood. Thank you very much. All right. So I know we have one potential here, but why don't I make a motion to approve our consent calendar items 1 through 5?
I'll second.
Thank you. Great. Roll call, please.
Roll call, Mayor. Councilmember Lang,
Yes.
Mayor Gilman,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Mang,
Yes.
Councilmember Whitman,
Yes.
Councilmember Rule.
Abstain.
Motion passes.
May I ask Marcel Rosas, please, to come up and say a few words? So Marcel is our youth commissioner, now appointed to the Parks and Rec Commission. I know I'm putting you on the spot. Just let us know who you are and a little bit about your history, if you don't mind. Thank you.
Hi, Council. Yeah, like he said, my name's Marcel Rosas. I'm a sophomore at Rocktree Sky and Summit. I've lived in Ojai for I think 11 or 12 years now. I used to go to Oak Grove and now Rocktree Sky. And yeah, I was recently appointed that role as the youth commissioner, so I look forward to getting to know you guys and working with the city and hopefully working with more youth commissioners in the future. So yeah.
Thank you. We look forward to getting to know you there. Thanks. Yes, please go ahead.
I just wanted to make a comment that Marcel is going to be such an incredible asset to that council. He is incredibly creative in so many different ways, and my neighbor. So welcome, welcome to the commission.
And this is also something that is going to come up actually going forward a little, and that is a future agenda item will be the potential for us to discuss the possibility of a non-voting youth member of each commission. So I hope that we'll entertain that and talk about that.
Yeah, and so that brings
Yeah.
a question up for me is how are we, welcome, you're wonderful. How do we actually, what was the process here? Like who
you bet.
The mayor, okay.
No, sure. Let me let me tell you
please.
the process, because I guess I'm really trying to involve everybody I possibly can and not have just the mayor do it. So first we solicited people in the city of Ojai's Youth Council, send the word out. So we had a few people that toyed with it. When we had somebody come forward, we actually met with the chair and also Christy Rivera and myself, and then we unanimously forwarded Marcel. So I think that's the process that's going to ensure kind of sustainability.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. I just was not aware of how it came about.
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah,
great. Thank you.
That's it. No, thanks for asking. All right, wonderful. Okay, we will move on. Now we are on to item number. Oh, go ahead, please.
Yeah, we're gonna announce number 5 and who we
Oh, yeah,
appointed,
but
right?
he's not here.
Yeah, but just
talk about it.
okay.
Yes. Sorry.
So
Go
I
ahead.
was actually on the
Mhm.
selection committee, and I will say in response to that speaker that I made many phone calls as a prelude to our selection process to for people who I thought would be good in that role. But I didn't find that any of them felt like they could serve. But we are confined to who applies. And so we had 3 people to select from. And I'm happy to say that who we selected, Brad Stewart, at least by the conversation we had with him during our interview process, I think he will be outstanding.
I appreciate you saying that. I agree 100%.
Just
Yes.
a quick question. Have we had any, because I know Brad Stewart has been, he's been an applicant for a good while. And I'm wondering if we are getting new applicants or if the entire interview and applicants were, if they had been on.
There's one additional.
Okay, that's my question.
And we will bring that person on for the next opening. So in addition, so what I think will probably happen is we'll solicit again. We have one more to be interviewed. So when our next rotating council person comes with the chair and myself, we'll try to get everybody in on that one. But as of right now, I believe there would only be 3 at the moment.
And one of them being a new applicant.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yep. No, thanks for asking. But I'm like what Anita Cram said is critical, right? Which is send the word out, like getting more people on here would be really wonderful. But thank you, Mr. Whitman. I appreciate you saying that. All right. What's that? We voted to approve the consent calendar and it went forward. So now we're on the public hearing number 6. I do have something to read on that, on number 6. So as I open that up, let me read what I'm about to say. The city staff and the city's attorney's office have requested that this item be tabled or continued in order to evaluate certain legal issues related to the proposed project. Once that evaluation is completed, this item will be rescheduled for a public hearing before the appropriate decision-making bodies of the city. For this reason, the city council, we are requesting that all public comments on this item be held until a future public hearing. So I'm asking for a motion on that. That's the request from our city attorney and staff.
I'd move for that.
I'll second it.
Okay. Any questions? All right, let's do a roll call on that.
Yes.
We're suggesting no discussion so that we can bring it forward when there's more clarity. Mm-hmm. Yes, go ahead.
Roll call, Mayor. Councilmember Rule.
Yes.
Mayor Gilman.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Mang.
Yes.
Councilmember Whitman.
Yes.
Councilmember Lang.
Yes.
Motion
Okay.
passes.
So I realize some of you may have come here for that point, and it will come back or go in front of the appropriate bodies, but we are needing more information. So I hope that it has been too long of a waste of time for you. My apologies for that. I will move on to the public hearing number 7, the Energy Modernization Program.
Just point of clarification, Mayor.
Yes, please.
Are we doing this first and then we're going into the?
Oh, I forgot. Sorry. Well, I was saying this and then the discussion, but for number 15,
I
but we
could
could
have
do
confused
15
things.
now.
Whatever you want to do.
Do you guys object to 15 now and then help of Ojai can leave? Does anybody object to that?
And the city attorney's just telling me I jumped the gun. I had the wrong place marked on my agenda.
That's
so if
okay.
you wanna
I had
just
it
wait
be
through
for
it, I'm
after
sorry.
this item, but anyway.
I'm
Okay, well,
super
let's
excited.
proceed as we were saying. Okay, no problem. So here we are.
Apologies. Okay, thank you, Mayor. So Ms. Palmer is with us. We have Donna Lease also from Climatech. So I'm going to just kick things off with Ms. Palmer, and then we're going to kick it over to Dawn. No, please stay. It will be very, very brief.
I will be brief.
Yeah,
This is
very
your
brief.
show.
Also, I want to point out that we have Ms. Ashley Lowe, who's also joined us via Zoom.
Oh, great.
Anyway, this is a follow-up item from earlier this year. You may recall Climatech came before you, presented, basically the concept of going through all of our city facilities and modernizing our energy equipment to make it more efficient and to lessen our carbon footprint and make an investment in our buildings. So taking another step back further, the year before, if I'm getting this right, we did an RFP. Thank you. We received two very competitive solicitations, one from Climatech, one from Wildan. Ultimately, we recommended Climatech to you, which you approved, and so that's how we're here for this tonight. Again, now I'm going back to earlier this year. The council's direction to Climatech was come back forward with a comprehensive scope of work, showing us what's intended to be done, what's the investment, and how it's going to work. And so that is essentially why we're here now. So before I turn over to Ms. Donna Lease, is there anything else I forgot?
I don't think so. The last time this was in front of you was in November, and we looked at you looked at a preliminary scope, so this is follow-up to that, and we'll get some more details tonight.
Thank you. Please.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor Gilman, members of council, City Manager Harvey, members of staff, and the community. As mentioned, we had our study session back in November, and we are here tonight to share a fine-tuned scope of work for the energy modernization program. The program aims at modernizing infrastructure past useful life, electrification, and decarbonization, and taking advantage of grants and incentives before they expire this year. As mentioned, we were selected and awarded by way of a competitive RFP process in June to act as the city's energy services provider and design an energy modernization program. Over the last 8 months, we have collaborated with staff to analyze utilities and perform a citywide assessment of facilities. We shared those preliminary findings with you back in November, and we are here this evening for council consideration to proceed with program implementation. These are the areas that the city asked us to assess for energy efficiency and renewable measures, which are incorporated in the Energy Master Plan on this slide. You'll see there in yellow, the city has already made excellent progress in terms of energy efficiency improvements, electrification, renewables at select facilities. And then in green there, you will see our scope that's really going to help the city address a large portion of the remaining need in terms of standardizing HVAC, modernizing to LED, and complying with state mandates, and implementing renewables in the areas that are most cost effective. In blue, you'll also see future opportunities expected to be analyzed by this fall that require further coordination with other agencies like the Clean Power Alliance for further opportunity for renewables. This is a summary of the final scope of work reflected in our agreement. And this reflects everything that you saw in green on the last slide, including measures for HVAC, lighting, and renewables. The phase 1 total program is $2.7 million and generates over $3.3 million from improvements over the useful life. The city intends to fund it through city contribution Measure C, federal incentives like the Inflation Reduction Act, and the Clean Power Alliance Building Assistance Electrification Grant, already awarded to the city in the amount of $250,000. In addition to financial benefits, the city will also reduce CO2 emissions by over 6.77 million pounds over the life of the program. And as we shared in our study session, we will also support the community in engagement and communication through a host of initiatives to keep the community abreast of master plan progress. After tonight, shall council approve this motion, we would begin construction mobilization by March. Permitting and equipment procurement would follow in the coming months, keeping in mind the Inflation Reduction Act safe harbor deadlines. And we will also expect the feasibility progress reports for future phase renewable expansion by fall of 2026. And of course, ongoing grant support and measurement of savings.
I just want to add a couple things if I could. Thank you very much. So this incentive proposed program that we're bringing before you hits 3 of your goals. Just want to touch on that again: infrastructure maintenance and improvement, climate resiliency, financial stability, as well as being absolutely spot on with one of the identified initiatives for Measure C funding. Well, actually 2 really, maintenance and climate resiliency were both called out in the ballot language for that. So this is hitting both. It does require an investment this fiscal year, as well as investments in the next 2 fiscal years. So, but that is also consistent with the direction we received from this council, which was to spend, if possible, approximately $1 million on climate-related measures within the budget. You're going to see later this evening during the mid-year budget update that you do have ample unprogrammed general fund balance to pay for this. You've got, in fact, over $5 million above your 100% reserve that can absorb this $900,000 number this fiscal year, as well as the number in the next fiscal year, while that general fund balance will continue to grow, obviously, with revenue. So I just wanted to say that as well. And we're all here to answer any questions you may have.
Let me
Thank you.
if I can. So just to highlight, you said it, but I'm just saying it one more time, clearly.
Bless you.
That
Bless you.
the amount of request for this current fiscal year is $909,000, because we see the $3 million and get some sticker shock, but it's not all the spend.
It's
at the
spread out,
moment.
but it is an immediate spend, and part of that goes to what Don was speaking of, which we want to take advantage of expiring programs for incentives to purchase those solar panels, and if we
Right.
don't do that by June 30th, I think.
Yeah.
July 4th.
Sorry, July. Okay,
No, I get
there
that.
you go.
And
Yes.
then I just wanted to ask, if we look at this, it's page 260 in the very, one document. This is where you see the amount of money saved per year over this 30-year lifespan. So this is where you.
This is attachment D, Mayor.
Oh, thank you. Okay, attachment D.
And actually, I think we could. Is it possible to bring that up on the screen?
Give me just a moment. Yes.
Do you mind?
Oh,
do you
sure.
mind
Not at all.
just so people can follow along?
Yep.
Give us one moment.
No problem.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
It's okay.
Okay.
This one. Okay. Making
Thank
it easy
you,
on
Mr.
the
McCartney.
eyes.
It basically it has the 6 columns with
Yes.
30 years. Yeah.
Give me just one more moment
No
on
problem.
the fly here. We are. And James in the back, I'll be sharing my screen now.
Thanks.
Stand by. Thanks for your patience, everyone.
No problem.
Yep.
Thanks.
James, we're seeing the PowerPoint still up. Speak to me if I need to be doing anything different. There we go.
I do see the cash flow on the shared screen for Zoom, just so you know.
Oh, we're getting there. Thanks, guys.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't
He's
mean
on the
to
wrong
subject us to this. No,
That's
we're just
okay.
trying to get to the right. We have a bunch of documents open
No problem.
in preparation. I put him on the spot by
That's okay.
asking him to. It's just it's a chart with a lot of numbers on it. Before we start talking about,
I understand.
let's make sure we have it in front of
Makes
us.
sense.
Not
Absolutely.
everyone will be able to know
Yeah.
what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we got a few things going on here.
We have a great IT team.
We do.
They're gonna get it up.
Okay. I could ask one general question. So
Sure.
when you look at the lifetime,
There it
basically,
is.
views,
Okay, there it
thanks.
is. Thank you.
Well, let's do the first thing. See the 302,771 in year 3. I asked the question and you answered it over email, but maybe just something for the general public. Where does that amount come from under the grant?
That is the Inflation Reduction Act.
Okay. And then the second item, this is kind of a general question. When, again, for the public, as we think about what the cost savings will be over the life cycle of these program savings, I guess how do I want to say it? Is this the general model for what the savings would be that is generally accepted? Is this what we can expect and hope for? Is this hopeful, or is this kind of a range? Because when we see the amount saved, it is extraordinary. So it seems foolish to not do it. But we just want to make sure how much confidence is there in that amount saved. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay.
It does. Ashley is here to answer questions regarding the savings.
And you, just for those looking at this,
If you
it's
wanna-
basically when you look at the utility savings over time and your total savings over time, you see that add up to a cumulative number at the very bottom, which is that 3,289,000. And you look at your spend and you think, well, of course, who wouldn't do it? But then
Yeah.
you want to say, well, investments often have that as an attribute or a virtue, but you want to make sure that it's truly realized, you know?
Yes.
So Ashley, are you online?
Yeah, is Ashley able to speak? She should be. I know
Okay.
she wants to chime in on this for sure.
Sure.
Do you see her, Weston, still?
I do.
Sorry to complicate this.
No, it's okay.
Here we go. Go ahead, Ashley. Ashley, can you hear us? Sorry, everybody. Ashley is unmuted, but looks like we have a technical difficulty.
Okay. We're not getting sound in general out there? Is that what you're saying? Oh, we just got some feedback that sound's not coming to the public at all.
Just to point out that it looks like from
I can talk, but I can't hear anything from the council chambers.
Okay.
I can hear now.
Okay.
It
So
was just looked like it was frozen.
Okay.
Did you hear the question, Ashley?
No, if you could
Okay.
repeat
The
it, that
question
would
is
be
just
great.
tell us about the model over the 30-year life cycle of the program and how much confidence you have in the model. So that
Sure.
what kind of confidence can you have in the savings realized?
Sure.
Thanks.
So just across the board, our models are based on conservatism and wanting to make sure that because we're on a lot of cases for programs like this, we're providing measurement verification services after the fact, and there's also performance that comes into play with the solar. So we have to make sure that what we're saying the program is going to save actually comes to fruition, because that's a contingency of the procurement being in compliance, meaning that government code 4217 requires the savings to exceed the cost of the improvements. And our models are required to be realistic in order to keep our accreditation. We're an accredited energy service company, so we have an oversight that monitors our savings models on an annual basis in order for us to keep our accreditation. So it's just a little bit about our confidence. And then in terms of how the models are built, I'll just kind of go from left to right. So efficiency measures are everything that are in your inside and outside of your buildings. That's replacing existing inefficient or outdated equipment with something that's more efficient. And then our engineers use what's called eQuest modeling to validate how much that equipment used before, how much it's going to use after. And then we model it based on, we know that the price of utilities is going to go up annually. There's some recommendations that you can use in terms of stipulated assumptions, and we take our assumptions from the guidance of the California Energy Commission for the assumptions that we use. Specifically for utility rate escalations, we assume that rates are going to go up 5%. We know that the rates in Southern California Edison have gone up much higher, actually 70% in the last 5 years. So but either way, just we like to follow the Energy Commission guidelines. So we use a 5% escalator assumption, and that's over a 15-year useful life of the efficiency measures. And then solar is based on the ratings of the panels themselves. We use tier 1 panels. Tier 1 panels mean that they have warranty for the life of the panels on the output, the workmanship, and the panel themselves, and are known to be a higher quality panel with the least degradation model. And that's quantified over the 30-year useful life. Operational savings are harder for us to quantify. So that's why, again, we use a mandated assumption from the California Energy Commission. They say you can generally assume that operational savings, which are like, you're not going to have to be repairing old HVAC units anymore because they're going to be replaced with new, or you're not going to be changing old fluorescent light fixtures because you're going to have new LED fixtures that last much longer. Those kind of operational savings, not anything related to staff efficiency, just true operational savings like that. They say the Energy Commission says you can use 2 to 3% of the project amount per year. In this case, we just used 1% for that assumption, and then the grants, the $250,000 is your CPA grant, and the $302,000 is the Inflation Reduction Act 40% rebate that's anticipated once those systems are placed into service.
Thank you. That's wonderful. I'm ask one more question while I have the floor here. So Ms. Palmer, this is to you. This is, you're central in this project. So you've looked at all these numbers really carefully. And so how are you feeling about this endeavor?
We'll be working hand in hand. I believe that this project will be passed off to another team at Climatech after this evening, or after approval of this, into their construction team. So we've already worked closely with them in identifying all of these needs. As we saw on that last slide, that the yellow and the blue and the green. So we, Public Works, have already been working towards this last year and the last half of the prior fiscal year. And so started moving this direction. And some of these projects that they've identified are a little bit heavier lift. So that's what we're looking to partner with Climatech on. So yeah, we're excited for this.
Great.
This will be great.
Any more questions for staff?
Yeah, I've got a couple of questions.
Great.
So I just want to clarify the mayor's question about the savings issue. As I heard the explanation, there's actually two important issues. One is the grant requires that we have these savings. We have to have the return on investment, and then your firm has to do that to continue in business. I mean, so
that's what I heard.
Yeah, so that issue is kind of extra strong. My only other question was, I saw that there's a contract attached. I just wanted to confirm that the city attorney's gone through the services agreement and it's good to go.
We did, and actually we proposed a number of changes to the agreement that Climatech was very willing to work with us on, and I believe all of those were accepted into the agreement.
Wonderful.
Nice. Oh, and I'll wait for comments.
Okay. Yeah, please.
I have a question. So with these designs, are they set up to where if future councils want to add more solar panels, for example, or to build out the EV charging systems, can they support expansion?
Typically, some of the programs that we implement are multi-phase. So we can explore other opportunities for future expansion.
Great, thank you so much.
I'll just add in also that what you see in blue in the energy master plan is what is currently being considered for future phases. And one of the key components of that is per council direction, or the sustainability committee direction, we've been asked to look into the Clean Power Alliance Power Ready program, where they offer on-site generation for solar and battery, and they have some other programs. And so we're looking into that to identify the right sites for that and evaluate the cost savings benefit analysis. And so that will be presented to council at a later date if that's a program that you'd like to pursue.
Thank you.
I just wanted to bring up for the record on
Yeah.
page, 9 of 10, with the Ojai skate park, if in fact with the potential workforce housing with OUSD and using that, I just wanted that to be on the record, like what, we just eliminate everything for that skate park then?
Well, it's a big question you brought up. I mean, it is a city facility. It's not on city property. So if that particular project does move forward, that is something we would have to discuss. You're right.
Okay.
Great question. Any other questions for staff before we go to public comments? Okay, I have one card only, and that is Len Clafe. Would you mind sitting, and then he'll come up, and then but stay close. Thank you.
And if I may, for the record,
Yes.
because this is a public hearing item, while we always take public comment as part of a public hearing, I just want to note for the record that we're opening the public hearing.
Thank
by
you.
Starting public comment.
Thanks very much.
Glad to be the first public person.
Thanks, sir.
Good evening, everybody. I think it's great that we maximize solar. Seems like a no-brainer. That we get rid of fluorescent lights should have been done 20 years ago, I think. And the presentation was extraordinarily clear. The graphs, you could follow along as they were going, and it looks like a win-win. And I hope you vote yes.
Thank you, sir. Anybody online?
Mayor, we have one raised hand
Okay.
from Stephen. Stephen, you may unmute and you have the floor.
Sure, thank you. We are so very lucky to have Climate Tech. I was unfamiliar with the company before they were hired. They have a unique business model that requires that all energy efficiency improvements that they recommend have a positive return on investment. In other words, the cost of each energy efficiency improvement recommended in the energy modernization program must be less than the energy savings from avoided utility costs. Very unique. But it's also important to recognize that of the 2.6 million investment that the city would make, over 550,000 of that cost will come from grants. A grant of 250,000 comes from the Clean Power Alliance. More as this gets expanded may also come about. But it's important to know that the other 300,000 comes from expiring Inflation Reduction Act funds that come to municipalities. The IRA funds for homeowners has already expired. So time is clearly of the essence. I do think that projects of this type and with these financials is something that any smart board of directors in a for-profit corporation would jump at. So I agree that this is really close to a no-brainer. It makes no sense to delay or modify this highly developed and very, very professional proposal from Climate Tech. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Pardon me, Mayor.
No, no.
Got a document up. That is the last raised hand.
Okay. Any discussion?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
So I just wanted to add, this has been in front of us for a while. We've had multiple hearings, and just to add to the history, this kind of the need for replacement of beyond useful life equipment was kind of the first thing that came up. And so we were looking at, how to modernize and become more efficient. And then, somewhere along the line, we got introduced to Climate Tech. So, which has been, greatly to our benefit, because as we were at the early stages, I was kind of envisioning our city and our public works director and maybe some contractor. I just feel like we've had such a really strong professional investment in what we're doing, and one of the things, we were going to have to replace that equipment. So that all goes into the equation of, what we're now doing. So it really is a win-win. I feel really strongly that I'm being fiscally responsible for supporting this project.
And if I may, I just wanted to note that we've closed the public hearing.
We've closed the public hearing. Wait, hold on. Let me do the gavel. Okay. Well, personally, I think this is some of the best money we could possibly spend. So if I would like to propose the motion that we approve and authorize the city manager to enter into the agreement with Climatech and authorize the appropriation or transfer of Measure C funds in the amount of 909,986 for fiscal year 2025.
I would second.
I'll second.
And
Yeah,
also,
all
as
of
part
us.
of, that needs to be the approval of the resolution included in the agenda packet.
And approval of the resolution. How's that?
I'll second that.
Okay. Any more questions or discussion?
Just want to thank Climatech.
I know, this is so
Yeah,
great.
this is
Very
great.
much.
We're thrilled.
Yeah, and I look forward to seeing all of these items in the blue have check marks on them too.
It's so fantastic.
So thank you so much.
I think it's exactly what Measure C was meant to do among its other tasks.
And thank you to the ERF grant too. That infrastructure package continues to support cities like ours in incredible ways.
It's wonderful.
Mayor,
Roll call, please.
a small and good problem to have. I heard 4 seconds.
There you
Okay.
go.
Could we get one for the record?
I'll take it.
Yep.
Okay.
Ms. Roll.
And
Perfect.
I
Okay.
want to make sure for the record as well that the motion also includes
the resolution.
Approving.
appropriation of the funds from the Measure C fund.
I
to the
said
capital-
that.
Okay, I wanted to make
Mhm.
sure, just making sure that we caught that.
And I didn't have a chance. I just wanted to say thank you very much. This is wonderful. It's way past time that we were modernized. So thank you for making it so smart for us to do it. Appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to it.
Wonderful. Okay.
Very
Roll
good.
call, please.
Councilmember Rule,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Meng,
Yes.
Councilmember Lang,
Yes.
Mayor Gilman,
Yes.
Councilmember Whitman.
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great. Wow, so
Thank
exciting.
you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Maybe let's go a little further. Thank you, Ms. Palmer. Let's bring up number 15, as we agreed. This would be the approval of the professional services agreement with Help of Ojai.
Yes, thanks, Mayor.
Thanks.
And I'm not sure if Ms. Johnson is with us. I see that she's logged in.
Yes, I am.
Michelle, you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay,
thanks.
very good. Thank you very much. I'm going to turn this over to Ms. Johnson, who does oversee our ERF grant submittal. So,
Thank you.
Michelle, take it away, please.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members.
Hello.
Before you tonight is the First Amendment for professional services for the Help of Ojai for case management services in the Ojai Permanent Supportive Housing Project, also known as Cabin Village. This is a wraparound program that's also involved with the County Ventura Behavioral Health Services contract, as far as trying to stabilize the encampment, the unhoused, and to get them ready for permanent supportive housing in the future with us. It is supported by the ERF grant, the Environmental Resources, the Encampment Resolution Fund grant, and it is part of the application process when we did the grant that we would use Help of Ojai. This again is a yearly, the contract only allowed for increments of 1 year, so this would be the First Amendment for case management services. And I'm here to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions? I have no public comment cards on that. Anybody online for number 15?
No raised hands on our item 15, Mayor.
I guess I'm seeing this as, but any questions? Any questions that you have?
A comment
Yeah.
that I think it would be nice to see like some sort of a report, because I know when we were at the I can't think, at the Ojai retreat, there was somebody there talking about how much joy they had in removing somebody from the tent town that moved into the new permanent housing in Camarillo and all of that. So I would like, if possible, sometime an update on, or do we still have 30 people that we're helping out of those, who's met the criteria, who's, just the progress of the people. I think it's a nice thing to hear.
That would be wonderful.
Maybe here's.
Oh, yes, please, come.
Hey,
have
hang on,
also
Michelle.
have Jane
We've got
Walter
Jane
here.
Walter
Jane,
from
thanks.
Help
Hi,
here.
everyone. Hi.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that's a great question or idea or request. So in our, I don't know if you guys know, we meet biweekly as a team regarding the encampment. And Whitney Nunez, who is one of our She's my director of homeless services at Help of Ojai. She actually presented a lot of the data, some updates, what we're seeing, challenges that we're having. So we have that ready for you guys. So if you want to see it, we have it ready. I mean, I'd love to share that info with you guys.
That would be very nice.
Yeah, just
Well
let us know when.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And can I add to that?
Please.
We just finished our annual report with the County of Ventura for this program, and with all the data for December 31st, 2025. And we're also going to be doing the annual report for the ERF grant at the state HCD level March 31st. So there's 2 reports that will be on the landing page very soon on what we've accomplished and how many people are aware and what we've been doing in the last year.
Perhaps when those are available and ready, you can notify the council.
We could bring all 3 forward for a little trifecta. Thank you.
That's a reasonable request. Any other questions? Any motion from anyone?
I'll make a motion to approve amendment number 1 to the agreement.
Second that. Any other questions? Great.
Yeah, approve as recommended.
Thanks.
Roll call. Mayor Gilman.
Yes.
Councilmember Rule.
Yes.
Councilmember Lang.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Mang.
Yes.
Councilmember Whitman.
Yes.
All right. We're at 7:34. Does everybody need a break? Quick break, or do you want to keep going?
I could use a quick.
Okay, quick break. We'll be right back. That's okay.
There
It's
we
coming.
go.
We'll get it.
There it is.
Check 1, 2. All right.
There we are.
We're coming back. Ready to go, fellas? All right, here we go. We're on item number 8, fiscal year 2025-2026 mid-year adjustment. Mr. Harvey or Ms. Cho?
Yes, thank you. Sorry.
No
We're
worries.
back. Ms. Cho is going to deliver this update for us. Thank you, Ms. Cho.
Thank you.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Council members. I will be presenting the fiscal year 25-26 mid-year budget review. I do want to note that this item came before the Finance and Budget Committee at the January 29th meeting for their review and input. Okay, so as you know, the mid-year review is an important process. The budget is a living document that's always changing and is a planning document that responds to council policy decisions, operational needs, and events that may have arisen unforeseen after the budget adoption. And so before we go into the mid-year numbers, I will also be reviewing the prior year-end financials. The annual audit for the fiscal year 24-25 is scheduled for next week, so these numbers are unaudited. So I will know that they may be subject to changes as a result of the audit process. So the fiscal year 24-25 unaudited financials will also show an impact to the ending general fund balance, which is one indicator of the city's financial position. And with that, I will be going through the attachments, and I'll start with attachment A, page 1, which shows the unaudited actuals compared to the budget.
And Ms. Cho, just give us one moment. I'm going to ask that these be brought up so that we're following along with you.
Okay.
So as we navigate, you're going to list the attachment and then the page number in the attachment in the lower right. Okay, got it.
Yes. So this is attachment A, page 1, and that's page 264 of the entire packet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this document shows the fiscal year 24-25 general fund revenues. It is categorized by the top 3 revenue sources as well as the other general fund revenues. It shows the budgeted amount of $16.2 million for the fiscal year. The unaudited actuals show that we had recorded $17.4 million. So the variance is a positive $1.1 million. The top 3 revenue sources, sales tax, transient occupancy, and property tax, overall had a net impact that came $300,000 above what was budgeted. And I will note for the other general fund revenues, there are some one-time grant receipts that were recorded in fiscal year 24-25. That includes about $200,000 for street maintenance costs that's covered by the Coronavirus Response and Relief Supplemental Appropriation Act, as well as $270,000 recorded for from the Transit SB 125 program. Another contributor for the increase or the variance of the $800,000 in the other general fund revenues is attributed to interest earnings. Interest earnings came in about $425,000 above what was initially budgeted, so that is a factor in that large variance, as well as recreation classes and programs also came in over budget of about $160,000. You'll see in a following document that with the increase in the recreation classes and programs, there's a corresponding increase in the expenditure side as well. Those two tend to have a correlation with increased participant, increased costs. So we'll see that in the next attachment as well. But those are the major kind of variances that were seen in the fiscal year 24-25 general fund revenues.
Thank you.
Okay. I will move on to page 2 of the attachment A. And this is the general fund expenditures by department. It shows the column for budgeted amounts, what was recorded for fiscal year 24-25, and the variance. In the variance column, if it's a positive number, that just indicates that the ending balance came in under what was originally budgeted. I will say a lot of the variances are due to, I guess, savings in salaries and benefits categories due to vacancies throughout the departments. Another thing I will note is the transfer for trolley purchase of the $270,000 that is related to also the $270,000 grant revenue that came in for that purchase. So with the grant revenues and this expenditure, it's a net wash to the general fund because that was purchased with the SB 125 monies. Another line item, just the recreation programs that went over budget, just as I mentioned, expected when participant, there's an increase in participation. So increase in revenues will also indicate an increase in expenditures for those classes. And then another big variance shows in the police department. I will just note that though it does look like a huge variance, when we're looking at the 23-24 actuals, it's more comparable. So in 23-24, those expenditures came in at 3.36 million, and in 24-25, 3.57.
I just want to make sure that I'm reading what you're saying correctly. So let's just look at police for 1 second. The budgeted for 2024-25, the 4,234,900, then the unaudited actuals 3,566 means that we planned on spending 668,000 more than it actually ended up costing.
Yes, it was budgeted higher. It might have been cushioned for some reason, or there was maybe some unprogrammed.
Right.
Yes.
So, I mean, the bottom line on this sheet would be that 1,673,909 is budgeted money that we had planned on spending that we did not spend on expenses.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. So am I correct in saying that the revenue is over expectations and the expenses are under?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, so with that, yes, so we came in positive, so it's about 1.2 million to the general fund ending balance for 24-25. So that results in an ending fund balance of 22.8 million. After considering the 100% reserve, the unallocated fund balance for fiscal year 24-25 is approximately 9.8 million. And this is a summary of the general funds. I will revisit this at the end of my presentation as well to give a more current view of where we're at. But I do apologize. There's one number on the last row that's throwing it off, but it is correct in the report and in attachment F, which I will go through.
And can I just, just one thing, because it seems important to say. If we look at attachment A, page 3, again, where we just were, when we see the 100% reserve column, and I see the fiscal year 24-25 unaudited actuals, and I see the reserve, that 13,040 is the expenditure of the prior year, right? So that's a 2023 audited expenditure is the 13 million. So that's where we get our reserve number from. So then, that's correct, right?
Yes,
okay.
that
So
is
then,
correct.
then when we see whatever our audited actual expenses are for this year, for next year, that would be our 100% reserve, presumably. Okay, so we're working on the past year. So then when we see that number, the 9,811 that you just pointed out as unaudited actuals unallocated, that is going to really depend, that number is going to depend on how much our expenses end up being this year for next year when we think about that, because our 100% reserve was 13 for 24-25. So I'm only just trying to get us to think, when we came into the year, if we thought we have 100% reserve and 9 million also. It really depends on what our budget's going to be. We should be thinking about it with that in mind.
Yes.
Okay.
But just to clarify, for
Yeah.
the unaudited, once we get audited numbers for our fiscal year 24-25, that will impact the reserve for 25-26.
Understood. Thank you for that. Okay.
So I will move on to attachment B.
I actually did have one question on attachment A. So the 24-25 unaudited actuals, we had an unallocated of 9.8 million. For the 25-26 budgeted unallocated, we have 5.625. How does that discrepancy work? Like we had almost 4 million more. What am I not understanding here?
Isn't one point kind of what I was trying to say, but probably not very well? The 100% reserve in 25-26 is 16,192,000. So that's 3 million more than the year prior, just right off the bat.
Right.
So that accounts for some.
So you're saying that the allocation drop in 4 million has to do with the 100% reserve?
That 100% reserve number does go up, right?
It goes
based
up
on
3
the-
million.
Mhm.
And so you're saying that that's the differential?
Well, that's
there?
why I was trying to bring it up to say that that change in the number would be something that we'd want to look at for the unallocated piece, because the reserve number is proportional, not a fixed amount. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense.
And I will just add, that is part of the contributing factor. Another factor is that in 25-26, the current year, the expenditures exceed the current budgeted revenues.
Okay.
I mean, that's
so-
what we're seeing, right? You see revenue 16,997, expenditures 18,032.
Okay. Okay. All
Mhm.
right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Attachment B.
Mhm.
Okay. So this document shows the current year 25-26 general fund revenues. Similar format to what we saw with the top 3 revenue sources, other general fund revenues, what they were budgeted, and what we had received as of January 25. I will note that the city does experience timing delays when receiving allocations from its major revenue sources, but they are aligned with projections. And just for an example, as of December 31st, 2025, the city received 37% of the projected revenues from the top 3 sources, and that is comparable when looking at the prior year of 34% of projected revenues received over the same measurement period. So for 25-26, the general fund budgeted approximately 17 million. Currently, as of preparing this document, we received 7.6, but again, that's just due to the timing delays on the major sources. I will move on to attachment C. Attachment C lists the general fund expenditures. It includes the same departments as well as the 24-25 unaudited actuals. Next to that column is the current year budget amount, followed by the year-to-date expenditures, which is paid roughly through December 31st, and the variance column.
So just a quick question for the year-to-date expenditures and the unaudited actuals. We're still, as you said, what you said, it was 34% or 37% of the income that has actually come in, even though we're at the halfway point. So basically it's backloaded. The income is backloaded, or the revenues are backloaded. Okay.
Yes, and it's comparable to what we had received in the prior year, just as a comparison to show that the timing delay, you'll see it caught up towards the end of the year. Though our year end is June 30th, a lot of the allocations come in following that date.
Does that also happen with expenditures? Or is that more consistent through the 12-month period?
It is more consistent, but also when we're at July 30th, we have about a month or two to accrue back expenses so that they're reflected in the proper fiscal year.
Okay, thank you.
And just to say, we asked that question in the budget committee to say, is this amount of money received so far, the 37%-ish, is that in line with prior years? Because if it was not, that would be a cause for concern. And the answer was that it generally was.
And it's 34, you said, for the prior years?
Yes,
34%
34 versus 37.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
even better. Okay, wonderful. Yeah, because that's a pretty serious question. Can I ask 2 questions about attachment C, unless you wanted to talk more about it?
No, please go ahead.
Well, I guess the 2 numbers I'm looking at, because I'm trying to anticipate the conversation that's about to come. If I look at the city attorney line on attachment C, page 268, so it looks like the unaudited actuals 24-25, 1,360,975. So that's for the unaudited actuals for the prior. Then I see our budget that we set out, 688. So just I'm trying to remind myself of our conversation when we set out to do the budget. We said we're intending to spend half the amount of money we spent last year. Just reminding us that was the case, and that so far we have spent 403. If I'm seeing the numbers right. Okay, so that just to say that's our kind of situation. And then related to that percentage amount, when I see the police number, unaudited actuals for 24-25, then I see our budget and I see our expenditures. It looks like that one does seem to get spent month on month more accurate. Okay.
Yep.
So that one's on track. You're expecting to meet the budget on that. That's obviously the big item, or a big item.
I have a question.
Yeah,
on that.
please.
I have a question on that same topic, because if you go back to attachment A, we've got a line for city attorney, and it says budgeted 1.125 and actuals 1.3.
Correct.
So I
overspent
don't
235.
understand the difference between the budgeted at 688 on.
It's a different fiscal year.
But your question, though, Mr. Whitman, if I understood you correctly, is you're saying the budget for 24-25 on attachment A, page 2, and the amount that was spent actually was 235,475 over the budget.
Right.
So we must have approved that. I don't remember that, or you guys approved it or whatever. But then when the number, no blame. I'm taking all the responsibility myself. But then when we are looking at the budget for this year, we are looking at actuals. Like on attachment C, the 1,360 is the actual spent over what we budget, over what was budgeted.
I think the
for
headline is,
25.
when we were putting together the budget for
Mhm.
25-26, council's direction was at that time, we want to ratchet down our
Mhm.
city attorney expenditures.
We did-
However,
we did say that.
For some context, after the budget was adopted,
Yeah.
there was a decision made to, go out for RFQ. So that there was a change in course, and bringing on another city attorney firm. One thing we talked about is you're going to incur additional expenses. There's going to be some overlap. There's going to be, 2 firms working at the same time,
fair.
right? There was also the TOT hearing, because remember that goes in that same budget.
That's
We
it.
had an entire hearing with 2 attorneys, did all the preparation for it. We decided as a council that we were going to continue that, right? So there some significant legal expenditures that took place in this fiscal year.
And I would also add, we did say, I do remember this conversation, we agreed as a body to say, we do not want to task the city attorney with something that's going to spend a lot of money until we know there's some council interest in that. So individually, we would not do that. We just want to keep reminding ourselves of that, because it's easy. I mean, you're so available. Yeah, please investigate, blah, blah, blah. And like, it's going to cost a lot of money. Were you going to say something, Ms. Roll? Did you come forward?
I was just going to say that even with the TOT trials, as I recall, that was 60,000 that we appropriated for that, and I'm just saying it doesn't end up to be 600,000. no matter how, so even the overlap between the two, because we did give instruction that, there was to be, the overlap was to, only be for, sort of continuity, not
Right.
for actual special projects.
Sorry, are you talking about this year then when you say that?
Well, yeah.
No,
kind of.
okay. Well, this because we're when we talk about last year, we're saying there was a budgeted amount that we exceeded, and then in this year, the proposal is to add more, but it hasn't been spent yet.
I would agree with what the council member is saying. That, certainly there's a number of reasons as to why
Uh-huh.
the city attorney expenditures were much higher, and I just was giving a couple examples, but there are other reasons why for sure.
You mean last fiscal, or you mean it's currently?
All right.
Okay. Well, because I'm just not,
Yeah.
that money's not spent yet. Because I'm seeing year-to-date expenditures 403.
Right, 403.
So, I mean, it's not,
Yeah.
they're projections.
Their
Okay.
projections, yeah.
All right.
And on that item, I'm thinking that, so we have a new city attorney, and I'm interested in thoughts from them at some future point about how we should budget that item and how we can implement cost controls that, keep it from running away from us to the extent we can. You can't foresee everything that's going to happen.
So then if I might ask, though, and I'm jumping slightly ahead and we need not necessarily, but at attachment E, when we see a proposal for the increase, I'm assuming that is a proposal based on some sort of expectation of spending that has not been spent yet. Right? That's 710 that I see at attachment E, page 270, is what we think we're going to be, which is actually not very far off from actuals from last year.
Right,
Okay.
and this is exactly in line with what you're saying. If
Okay.
you want to provide direction, certainly,
Okay.
we'll take it, but we're just basing it upon
Yeah.
past performance and
Yeah.
trends.
No, I was just trying to clarify actually what was literally spent and also what was spent last year compared to the budget. Because if you looked at an initial budget and look at the actual, it looks like, wow, things are out of control. But if you look at the actual spend last year, they're almost in line. Okay. Thank you
Right.
for that.
And yes, so we can have discussion on that and why we
Mhm.
would have budgeted half and what we expected to accomplish in order to get to half and why
Mhm.
we didn't get to half. I think that's a conversation to have.
Fair enough. Yeah.
And I think, we have it with our new city attorney for sure. I think that we need to really take a look at
Mhm.
all of this.
Yeah.
But would it also be a part of this item to discuss ways that we as a council or as a staff could work with our attorney? So for example, capping things at an hour or giving a range that we talk about?
I think if we were to do that, we should bring that back as a
Yeah.
further
Yeah.
discussion
For
item.
sure.
But absolutely. I mean, what I would point out, I think this has already been raised, but much of the year-to-date expenditures that are reflected on this table predate our contract with the city.
Right.
So, we will absolutely be doing a lot of work to make sure that we're, remaining cost conscious and only working on spending extensive amounts of legal hours on things that, a majority of city council has asked us to pursue.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, in addition to that, I would note that, we, once we have a couple of months under our belt, I think we'll have a better sense for, what our monthly kind of average legal invoice looks like. If I think we are open to feedback from the council,
sure.
regarding those invoices.
Thank
So,
you.
yeah.
No, I appreciate that.
And I think we are aware of, when you came in and, the actuals to date.
Absolutely.
And we will be able to actually, once we do get sort of a baseline for your work, it may be that our budgeted for this year decreases. It just really depends.
Mhm.
So we do understand that for sure.
Thanks. Ms. Joe, would you like to continue?
Yes.
Thank you.
So I also just wanted to add that attachment C, the budgeted expenditure column, does include all the amendments that City Council has approved. thus far, and those are itemized in Attachment D. And Attachment D shows the list of council action items that have been approved that have a budget fiscal impact. So it is categorized by council date, the description, the request, and the impacted fund. The total request through January 13th, 2026 is 1.8 million. Of that 1.8 million, 864,000 has an impact to the general fund, and those items are highlighted in blue. So everything in blue impacts the general fund, just to repeat, and that impact is 864,000. So these additions are included in the calculations with the fund balance that we had seen prior.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If there are no questions, I will move to Attachment E.
I actually do have a question. It's kind of a minor question, but so on the salary adjustment from 1.8 to 2.5 COLA, and then the fourth line down at 382, it says fund name Plaza Maintenance. Are we just? I'm just not sure how. Or Cemetery Trust. I just wasn't sure. Measure C, I understand. So, do we have special money that we pay
do.
people who do cemetery work?
Well, yes, we do portion out staff members based upon their duties. So, for example, Public Works, which does oversee the landscaping and lighting district and does oversee the maintenance effort at the cemetery, yes, we do charge a portion of their salaries to those funds, just the same as we would do with Ms. Cervantes, who is involved with transit. We apportion a portion of her salary to that too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right.
We have a fund called Plaza Maintenance.
Yes, we do.
Okay, good to know.
Landscaping
and we have
and
a fund called Cemetery Trust.
We do, and you'll be
Okay,
hearing
good to
more about
know.
the Cemetery Trust
I did not know
later
that.
this year.
Yes.
I did not know that, but thank you. Now I do.
So Attachment E?
Yes, Attachment E outlines the request for the mid-year budget amendments. I'll just walk through from the top. The first item is related to revenues. We are proposing a conservative increase to transient occupancy taxes of 500,000. That would be allocated in proportion to general fund and Measure C. So Measure C would get 333,333 requested to the budget, and Measure C would be 166,667. Conservative increase, but staff will continue to monitor revenues. But again, with the revenues lagging, there's not as many historical periods to look back on to.
Yeah, and the other important thing in this one is this also is going to reflect, a new hotel that has come online that's remitting TOT to us as well. So we only have a few months of experience with them. I think the most recent receipt, was for the month of November of 25. It was around $80,000 to the city, roughly around that magnitude. That's likely to increase as they, gain experience and visitors and so forth.
Okay.
Please correct me if I'm wrong on any of that part. Okay, thanks.
And then the remaining items are related to expenditure line items. The first is in the city manager's department for recruitment expenses of 35,000. Originally, it was not previously budgeted for. The second item is within the finance department for the Kroll audit of 73,500 as the request. The next two items are related to recreation, specialty camps line item. There's a request for an additional 15,000 for increased program participation. The next line item is for senior programs for 5,000, and this is mainly to create a new line item for seniors for better tracking for our department. The next two are from Public Works. The Soleil Park lease to reflect the land use agreement with the county, and the $15,000 contract services request is to reflect the contract services with Agramin. The next two items are within the IT department, a $40,000 ask for software licenses related to an AI platform and additional email accounts, as well as a $50,000 increase for additional cybersecurity support.
I think it's important, if I could briefly, on the additional email account so that you know what that is. We're looking to transition all of our boards and commissions over to city email accounts. And when we do that, we're also looking to provide the public with a better way to get a hold of individual board members. We're going to revamp the web pages so that you can email the entire board or individual board members. It's not appropriate for us to have board members using their personal email accounts for city business. It's all, as you all know, it's all discoverable if the request is made. And it's just a more professional way to do that. But unfortunately, the way you do that is you have to buy additional licenses, and so that's what we're doing here. But look for better pages for those boards and commissions. That is something we're going to be very seriously embarking upon.
And then the next line item is the city attorney department for $710,000. With that, the general fund impact for all these requests nets to about $616,000. That nets the revenue amount from the TOT request. So the impact for the general fund request is $616,000. The other items are related to our equipment replacement fund. There is a new ask of $35,000 to replace the city record repository system. I believe it's the document software, retention software, moving from Fortis to Laserfish.
Correct.
And then the other two items is not a new request. It's a transfer of an existing appropriation of $70,000 from the line item computers to tools and equipments. This is also to better track the PEG fees, what is eligible to be covered by those fees. So that would include the dais and any other community support for like broadcasting meetings, so that the community has access. So we would like to just track those expenditures. And so the net impact for the equipment fund is just the $35,000.
And just to clarify, under the expense increase, the 949,680, you would minus the 333,333 to get your 660.
Correct.
Okay. Got it.
With that, I will move on to attachment F. This is the fund balance summary. So I will just kind of walk through the first table. As we kind of already looked at, the first row is the audited numbers for 23-24. So 23-24 ended with the fund balance of $21.7 million. Considering the 100% reserve, that 11.7 would have been from 22-23 fiscal year expenditure amount, leaving an unallocated balance of $10 million. When we move to the second row, the fiscal year 24-25 unaudited actuals, the beginning balance has a variance of $134,000, and that's just due to the creation of the Public Arts Fund. So that reduces the general fund beginning balance to $21.6 million. With the revenues and expenditures for that year, there's a change in fund balance of a positive $1.2 million, resulting in an ending balance of $22.8 million. With the 100% reserve of $13 million, results in a $9.8 million unallocated. And then that 22.8 ending fund balance for 24-25 rolls forward as the beginning balance for 25-26. And with the budgeted revenues and expenditures, there is a change in fund balance of $850,000, resulting in an ending balance of approximately $22 million, we're taking that 16.19 million from the prior year expenditures to as the reserve balance calculation, resulting in a 5.8 million unallocated general fund balance. The last row is the similar calculation, just including the mid-year adjustments. So it includes that net 616,000. So that reduces the ending fund balance by that 616,000 to 21.3 million. We're using that same 16.19 expenditure amount for the reserve calculation, leaving 5.2 million as unallocated.
Okay. Thanks for all that work.
Of course.
Any questions before I go to public comments? There must be some.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. We'll just go down.
Go
the line.
ahead, Kim.
Okay.
I was curious what the balance is in the restricted funds. I didn't see that included in any of this.
In the general fund, are you asking what would be I apologize, restricted?
Don't we have a category restricted funds? What is the balance in that fund is my question.
So approximately $420,000 would be kind of held, which is, and I guess I will also mention that the ending fund balance is not all liquid. There's a lot of receivable components to that as well, and also to account for cash flow. So sometimes the general fund will, I guess, lend money for other projects as we await grant reimbursements. So that's not all liquid, but it is the asset portion of the balance sheet. I believe in 25-26 current year, I could think of $420,000, which relates to the receivable for our city manager's loan.
Okay. Other questions? Yes, please.
So I just have a clarifying question. So if I look at attachment E and see the numbers 333,333, the 949. If I add all of these up, that's where I get the total for the request, the additional request. Is that correct?
Yes, but one of the amounts goes the opposite way. So it's
Okay,
as a
that's
revenue
right. Yes.
and expenditure,
Yes.
it would be the net of those two amounts.
Thank you.
So, you mentioned that the mid-year budget went to the budget committee for input.
Yes.
And what was the input?
One of the inputs was to see the comparison of the revenues received. So for example, that 34% was included in the report after getting feedback from the committee. I believe other items, Mr. Creasy had identified some areas that we had to go back and look at. So we did, and we confirmed and made those updates.
Because in the future, could we include the comments and stuff from the budget committee into this just as a keep things clear? I think it would.
I can think of like 4 things that we did. I think one thing was there's a relabeling of the trolley purchase, so that it didn't say transportation, it said trolley purchase. There was an item to pay for Secure All that, if I remember correctly, was counted twice. So there are 2 things. I think there's one that I'm forgetting that you might remember.
I can say that a lot of the conversation that we're having tonight happened there in the sense of looking at the audited actuals from the year prior and then the expenses now and then where we went over budget, just like what we're saying tonight. It was useful to look at it all again to understand the impact of what's being asked for today, because it's easy to mistake it. But when we look at what the year prior was, so like the question you just asked, when we see the revenue projection, even if it's conservative, and then we look at what the ask is and you see that moderated amount come down, compared even also to the 100% reserve and the amount left over, still, if all of these numbers hold, even after the 100% reserve, so far, there would be $5,194,000 unallocated set aside. So so to me, I guess I'm not saying let's be spendthrift. I'm just saying it's hard to imagine. I mean, I feel like we're in a really strong position and continue to be that way, even with the kind of changes. So that's where spending time in the budget committee I thought was useful to bring that forward. But.
So a couple more questions. This is following up on Councilmember Mang's question. So I understand that the Measure C funds are a restricted fund, but what other restricted funds? What categories do those funds fall into where we're restricted and how we can spend that money?
Most of these special funds have some restriction on the use. For example, transportation. Our TDA funds have a restricted use specific for example, bike and pedestrian. I can also think of for example, our plaza maintenance. Those are related to assessments that are received through the tax roll. So those do have a restricted use.
Cemetery
As well. I'm sorry, I'm blanking. I'm just gonna pull up a list of all the funds.
Successor agency fund, you know,
Yes.
that doesn't really have a lot coming into it, but it's a pool of money that's available.
Yes, so we also have the library special tax fund, the plaza maintenance fund, there's an arcade assessments fund, a street lighting fund. Those are related all to assessments. The RDA successor agency fund that Mr. Harvey had just mentioned. The ones that are more flexible in use would be the general fund, of course, is where most of the operation discretionary spending exists, but also our capital improvement fund and equipment replacement fund. Those funding sources come majority, sorry, I can't pronounce, from the general fund or Measure C, for example, and those are done through transfers at the end of the year.
So I'm interested, I know not for tonight, because I figure all these numbers have been, calculated in, but I'm really interested in seeing a report in the future where each of these restricted funds, we see what amount is in there, and we also see, what's been spent in the last fiscal year, so we have an understanding of whether there's, underutilization of a fund that we should be trying to max, to the benefit of the community.
Of course.
A couple other questions there. At the attachment A, you've got a category for other general fund revenues and transfers, and there's a lot of money there, but what are the sources of that other revenue and transfers?
So as I mentioned, there was 2 big grants that were received in that year. Also, what's in that category is interest earnings, which was about, I think, close to $600,000 that was received. But that also includes our business licensing, permits, fees, fines, our recreation classes. So a lot of the, I guess, over-the-counter permits are also included in those line items, in that line item.
Then how much of that category are federal grants? If you know.
I believe the biggest federal grant received was related to the ATP project, and that is not included in this line
actually,
item.
I think. Sorry, that's state, but it's TDA. I think is our largest federal grant, I believe.
And that is not included in the general fund.
Okay. So that's not what the other general fund revenues and transfers relate to, because it doesn't reside there in our general fund. Okay. So my last question is looking at the fund balance summary with the mid-year requests. We have...
What page, please?
This is 271.
Okay.
So we have we have expenditures of 18,700, roughly $19 million. But then we say 100% reserve, 16,192, and I'm not sure how we get at 16,192.
Remember the point about if you look at the 24, 25 unaudited actuals, the expenditure 16,192 in the third column, that number comes from the year prior.
Right.
Okay, so that's where that number comes from. So the 100% reserve is not your current year budgeted, it's your actuals from the year prior. So next year, let's say we happen to land and stay at 18,796,000. The 100% reserve in budget 26-27 will be 18,796.
Yeah, and I just have a question about whether this is not for like receiving and accepting this report, but I have a question and a concern about whether we're adequately reserving if our expenditures are trending up, but our reserves, at least for the last 2 years, have stayed, relatively level. And, and then I'm looking at it wouldn't, so bad math on my part, I'll admit it, but if I'm just using these crude numbers and not considering that we're using the prior year's budgeting, I'm concerned that, in my mind, we have $2 million less, and we very quickly could see, that unallocated amount drop with, big expenditures. We've seen some of them that are already kind of in progress being added in. So I just want to be, really, really careful, especially with the idea that at any given point. But you explained why those numbers deviate. I accept your explanation. Just causes me some concern.
No, I hear you. So, to your point, what you could say is the 100% reserve policy, maybe in the future we could discuss this, would be the budgeted expenditures for that fiscal year. That would answer your question.
Right?
We
that's
could do
a
that.
discussion I'd like to have
Fine.
as to what the correct policy
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
And I don't think that I am the one who knows about that kind of budgeting, but I want to hear how we should be setting the reserves if we're.
Yeah.
So if I could jump in, this is something that the Finance and Budget Committee has asked to come before them, and we're planning on doing that.
Yep. Thanks.
After the next Finance and Budget Committee will be a preview of the coming fiscal year budget, which is going to be before you very soon.
We've asked for a deep dive on how
Right. So
cities
the next
manage
meeting
those
after
reserves.
that will be, we're bringing forward a proposed reserve policy, and there will be a debate in that group, and they can bring forward recommendations.
Yeah.
Okay,
So-
good. That's.
So one thing you could say is if you look at the 100% reserve and the unallocated on any row, you're basically totaling roughly 21 million every year for the last last 3. So at least we're not wildly out of sync. It's just that the unallocated is going down. Right?
And one thing that we have been doing in the last at least couple of years, probably like the last 3 years, is we've been spending more on capital improvement projects, paving programs. Those are very expensive. You've made some major investments in that area, and you're seeing that impact. But we think from the direction you provided that you'd rather see a lower Measure C balance because you're wanting that money to be expended the way that the voters asked it to be expended.
That's it. And notice that the capital improvement project budget went way up, but the road paving happened.
So, and just on that topic too,
Yeah.
and Finance and Budget Committee members will nod their head because we've talked about this. We're also planning on bringing some type of Measure C policy before the Finance and Budget Committee for vetting too, and then it can come back here. just to, there's a number of items listed in the ballot language as to how the money is supposed to be used, but what there isn't in that ballot language is a percentage.
That was one of the things from the budget committee that we did say that we need to bring forward is,
right.
Do we allocate that quarter on 4 areas?
And you
or
need some
what's the way?
definitions as well.
Yeah, that's it.
Right.
Yeah.
Can I ask, are we going to review the 100% reserve condition, or because that would, I don't know that any of us were privy to that conversation that happened prior to this council, and once again review whether or not that is a, is it best practice? Do we see that across towns like ours, or is this not the case? And there are real questions for me around having $16 million sitting when there's some real things that would wipe this city out, mostly being fire, and us not spending the money in order to, so I would like that discussion also to come back.
That's what Mr. Harvey just
So
suggested.
what,
was the budget
so what
committee
our
will
plan
look
is
at that.
after the budget is adopted, we're planning on convening the Finance and Budget Committee. They have asked a couple times to review that policy. And then once they offer their suggestions, we're going to bring it back to you, and you can decide. What you see, so Ojai is different than a lot of other municipalities simply because of our heavy reliance on TOT. It's outsized compared to a lot of other cities. So that makes us a little bit different. In other cities, you see, a larger amount of property tax or sales tax or some other revenue source, and we just don't have it here. So in particular, we're tied to 1 and 2 establishments, which even makes us even further more unique. So, but these are all things that the Finance and Budget Committee will wrestle over. Then we'll bring it back to you to talk about.
Yeah, and I think like to like comparison would be interesting as well. Towns
we can show
our
you
size, boutique towns that cater to tourism, that get money from TOT.
Yes, that's what we'll try to do.
Those are the kinds of things,
agreed.
not apples to oranges.
Agreed.
There are some university studies on the subject that I have that will also bring forward and ask these questions.
And we'll also include things like how much you need to always have on hand for cash flow. These are all important things. And then you can have strategic uses for your reserve fund. Like if you want to make a purchase of property, maybe that's something in the interest because that supports an initiative, and you're not necessarily jeopardizing your funds because you could always sell that property and hopefully get at least a majority of your return back or more.
Yeah, and I trust that our current budget committee, budget and finance committee, will wrestle with those and bring them back to us in a way that makes sense.
But just to point, historically, we've hit 2 really serious budget crises. One was when the Ojai Valley Inn shut down 3/4 of its rooms for several months while they did a complete remodel, and that event wasn't anticipated and planned for as well as it could have, and we woke up one day and we had no reserves. And then we just went through COVID, and we managed that better than the shutdown of the inn. But those are all things that we've seen happen in the recent past, so we have to plan for those types of contingencies.
No, fair enough. If it's okay, let me go to public comments.
Yeah, go
We've
ahead.
been at it for a while. Larry Steingold and Clay Creasy, please.
Good evening.
Hello.
Thank you, Mr. Whitman. We need a lot of money in our reserves, because if you believe in our present administration and Sacramento that we've got a great economy, then spend it. Spend some and do the things you want to do. If, on the other hand, you think the present administration's or the next one is going to help crater the economy, then we, by all means, should have our reserves plus equal to what we're spending. Because if we're going to spend, 18 million, we should have 18 million on the shelf. And that should be there. And you should have plans. If the economy should we should, instead of 100% vacancy, 100% occupancy of the hotels, if we go down to 90, are we laying off people? Are we stopping anything? If we go down to 20%, 30%, what do we have plans? What are we going to give up besides road repair? Okay, because that's always the low-hanging fruit. Are we going to cut fire? No. We're going to cut police. You're going to cut the village, the town. You're going to cut. Where are we going to cut? Have a plan. Because if Mr. Creasy's on our budget and he knows what he's talking about, if you believe in what he said, then you should take all the suggestions that he made at heart and institute as many as possible. If not, then you don't believe in what he's doing and what he believes and what he says, because he's certainly more knowledgeable about this stuff than I am. Okay, because the details are fine. I'm looking at, if you have enough money, it covers enough sins. And I was always taught, if you have a problem, just make more money, right? And that pays the bills. But we don't make money. We get money from retail sales. We get money from TOT. We get money from grants, wherever that comes from, magic money. And we get money from real estate. Well, real estate sales have slowed, so the turnover there and the rates aren't going up. TOT, it depends on how you look at the economy. People are saying, hey, it's falling apart. Well, if it's falling apart, then we should pretend, we should act accordingly. Otherwise, we think the economy's great, and we keep going. You want to buy a piece of real estate? If it makes sense, and it looks good, and it's going to work for the town, by all means. You have an opportunity, take it. Don't pay what they're asking. Beat them up. Okay, do that. Hey, this 40 years in real estate, that's what you expect. But I mean, but seriously, plan for the future, because as Mr. Whitman said, no reserves. They close for 6 months. They have a fire. Somebody could be out. They have strikes. They have this. They have that. We have an earthquake. Whatever. God forbid. Right. So I mean, we need enough money put on the shelf. So I would go with the 21 million, 18 million. Just make the proposal now. You have the cash. Put it on the shelf. So thank you.
Thank you. Clay Creasy, please.
What I've given to Weston is a copy of a very broad chart, which I think I may have emailed to all of you as well, which shows the revenues and the expenses over the past 4 years, including this year's projection. Let me say, number one, hats off to Brenda for putting together a much better package than we had last year for mid-year budget review. So I always got to give the bean counters a little Cub Scout salute for doing their job. Thank you. You are enabling a much more productive conversation than we had last year, where it was which end is up. Unfortunately, that's both good news and bad news, because the enabled conversation here is not a very comfortable one. This budget mid-year review submission should be sent back to the budget committee for more intensive review and for another proposal back to you. So my strong recommendation is you not accept it tonight, but instead send it back. Two big reasons and many other little reasons that my time won't allow me to go in totally. But number one, the legal expense increase of $1 million more to be spent for the balance of this year versus the 400 spent right now is aching for specifics. We can't just say it's equal to what we did last year, so let's do it again. We have 6 law firms who charge us money on a monthly basis. I have all their invoices in my computer in detail. I can give you to the penny exactly what we spent for each one. I can't tell you why, but I can tell you how much. We can look at trends. We shouldn't swag a giant number and say we got other things to do. Give it to the budget committee and we'll do the job that needs to be done, which hasn't been done so far. Point number 2, as I send in my email, the interest revenue budget, which is untouched in this proposal, is in fact sandbagged by 100%. You have another 700,000 plus of interest coming that is not in this budget. That's good news. Why wouldn't that get thrown in there? I think it's the desire to want to be able to give you good news at the end of the year, no matter how it shows up, even if I had to sandbag my revenue in order to show that up. The third thing is, Mr. Whitman, you're absolutely right with regard to your questioning the reserve policy calculations. On July 1st of this year, once we tick over to the next year, the reserve amount is going to drop to 3.6 million, or less if you go against the current year reserve, current year expenses. What you really need to do is a good statistical / scientific job of assessing the risks of revenues and expenses across a broad spectrum of potential outcomes. That's more than just the budget committee or the city staff doing a quickie. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody online? Okay.
Yes, Mayor, we have one raised hand from Renee for item 8.
Thanks.
Renee, you have the floor.
Okay, hello.
Hi.
Good evening, Mayor and Mayor Gilman and members of the council and staff. I am a member of the Finance and Budget Committee, and it is good to see the discussion around how the city is in a strong position related to your reserve balances. And also you do have reserve policies in place that will help create confidence in how those reserves are managed and used. So I do believe the city is in a good position, better than it has been in the past. And it's good to see you spending more money on capital projects because it was underfunded for many years in the recent past. At the same time, I also have a little more confidence than some other people because I do believe there are constitutional limits on how much the city can actually spend in a given year. So I would briefly like to address Article 13B, appropriations limit, commonly known as the GAN limit, because it affects how tax revenues and fund balance can legally be used. The GAN limit restricts the amount of tax-funded appropriations. So we're talking about property taxes, sales taxes, and the 15% TOT that the city may authorize in a fiscal year. So basically, tax proceeds and how you spend it are limited by the GAN calculation. So there is an important distinction between general operating expenditures and qualified capital outlays. General operations, like salaries, contracts, services, ongoing programs, those are generally subject to the GAN limit. By contrast, long-term capital investments such as land, buildings, infrastructure, they qualify as constitutional exclusions if they meet the legal definition of a qualified capital outlay. So I just want you to know this is a very complicated constitutional calculation, and I have full confidence in staff's ability to perform it and calculate it accurately. But given the large amount of the mid-year adjustments and the large amount in your reserves, I do think it would be prudent to prepare and publish a clear GAN reconciliation worksheet.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Roth.
No more, Mayor.
Okay. We've had a lot of discussion. If I might just pose a possible question, which is, the biggest single number in what's being proposed right now is that 710 increase on the city attorney line. And if I might offer just one way to cut through for some simplicity, if we were to not offer that increase in the request, my thought is what would end up happening is that the budget would be met and it would be more like what happened last year. We would get a request to say, well, if we want to continue this activity, we will have to fund it in some other requests. So it seems to me you could either say, we're going to build in that money to act as we did last year, but we can talk about the limits we want to do, or we could say we want to parse it out and want pieces and want to vote on things individually. That's how it appears to me. And that's the single biggest item, the 710. I'm happy to be persuaded otherwise, but that seems like the issue that we might be hung up on.
So I thought we had a healthy discussion around the city attorney.
Me too.
And my orientation towards that line item is that we get feedback from our new city attorney about how to set that budget and what's realistic, and I guess the alternative of maybe carving that item out and saying we're going to delay until we resolve the issue is to say, well, let's fund it and then commit to taking a serious dive into it and fix it. I don't know what the right way to address that, but I think we're sort of all in agreement that we need to understand where we can trim. One of the things that I know is that you can't just predict what your attorney's fees are going to be, because it depends a lot on what confronts you that you need legal advice on. But we certainly can look at, and I've proposed this in the past, that we look at ways to control attorney spending, particularly when it's generated from our projects that we're proposing. We should have some type of protocol that
which we did say.
In my work, we retain experts all the time. And a lot of times when we assign it, we say, $10,000, and then you have to come back to us and explain why you're going any further than that.
Right.
And we could do those types of things. We could set limits on how much time the city attorney can spend on any one council member's question before getting approval of the majority of the council to take it further.
We have had that general discussion, but not a dollar amount. That's
Right.
for sure.
Yeah.
So let me just throw something out. If we were to say, I'm just throwing it out there, want your feedback. If we said we're ready to accept this mid-year change, with the exception of the city attorney line item increase, with the request that the city attorney's office give us feedback on reasonable expectations going forward for the rest of the fiscal year. If that was the motion, we would probably understand we're going to get a request for more money at some point. We understand that. We're going into it knowing that. But we understand we're asking for the attorney's guidance and some reasonable expectation going forward. Yeah. Does that seem, how would that feel for you guys?
I want to get.
I want.
Oh yeah, let's hear it.
Yeah,
let's hear it.
I have a lot of people looking my direction.
Okay.
I have no problem with that.
Okay.
I think we are perfectly willing to do that.
Okay.
I think that's an appropriate path forward with the transition to a new city attorney firm. And, we would be more than happy to bring that back to you.
Yeah, I would say that in looking at how the attorney costs have sort of broken out, council requests are virtually nothing. I mean, they're so low as to be not, that's not something that's going to save us a lot of money from what I've looked at, right? I mean, they've been pretty minimal. I don't have a problem either moving forward with this budget or putting, leaving it where it is. Probably prefer to kind of have, you come back. But I think to the point that we have, it's going to take a deep dive. We do have 6 law firms. So for instance, and it will come back, this question will come back. The law firm that was dealing with my settlement was $225,000 in the last 14 months. That's come to nothing. So, I mean, when you're looking at, these expenditures, hiring out and not putting caps on what they can spend, or having them come back and us actually tallying what these expenditures are, is huge. We're $225,000 in legal fees from the attorneys that got us nowhere. I mean, us as a council member, me as a defendant, whatever, but that's how much money we've spent.
Can I ask you, so
Yeah.
are you saying you would be willing to accept the amended budget?
I would.
With sort of the proposal that legal would come back? You're okay
Yeah,
with
I'm
that?
okay with that. I'm okay with it either way.
Okay.
Is what I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm saying I'm okay with it either way, but what I am saying is that
Yeah.
there's a deep dive that's broader
For sure.
than just, putting, a council limit or something, some sort of estimation on large projects.
Okay.
I
Got
think is the question, or even on categories of projects.
That makes sense.
So my thought on this topic is that we oftentimes plan things to do in the future, and then they get pushed away, and maybe having that particular item suspended forces the issue to come
Well,
back to us
because they're going to run out of money.
I was gonna say, we
Well,
will need to come back
yeah.
to you probably
No, I
within the
know,
next
yeah.
month or so.
So,
yeah,
Absolutely.
it'll force it.
that would be kind of a near future thing.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah, and is
Yeah.
Does that give you enough time to put it all together? Because I know too, when you stepped on board, you said there are some things, current lawsuits and legal stuff in the works that I don't know if you've had the time yet, because I know you've been busy, to go over what you're going to take. So then the fees would still be, we would cut from another firm, but then add on to your bill as well. Does that make sense?
Could council, sorry, who's the maker of the motion?
well, the motion I'm making is that we accept this mid-year budget. What's the exact language?
Mayor, I could repeat it if you'd like.
Oh, well, no. Well, I think what I wanted to, let me go back to the beginning. What I wanted to say is, I want to accept this mid-year budget review and change, with the exception of the increase in the legal department, to come and that we ask the city attorney to come back with a reasonable spend for the rest of the fiscal year 2025-26.
Would you want to add anything
Yeah.
to there about coming back with the reserve policy, or we could do that in
The reason
future
why I don't
agenda
want to do that is
items.
because
Yeah.
the budget committee has already agreed to take that on deeply
Okay.
and then bring it forward.
Okay, well then I'll second your motion.
Okay. And that's something I'm very interested in.
Okay, so I'm sorry, let me
Okay.
let's talk some details here.
Yeah.
We should put a date.
Yes, definitely.
Well, like you said, it's going to happen.
It's going to be.
Yeah, so
make it
what,
It'll be very quick.
however
Well, there's
much time
200,000
needed.
left.
I would say probably.
Give yourself enough time.
I would give myself enough time. I would
Okay.
say beginning of March or end of
Okay.
March. It would be the first or second meeting in March.
So here's the motion. I can just clarify more. Adopt
Okay.
the amendments to fiscal year 2025-26 as identified, with the exception of the legal department. Tasking the city attorney's office to come back with a reasonable proposal for the rest of the fiscal year.
Okay, so then just,
Yeah, sure.
it goes with that you're wanting us, Ms. Cho, please jump in here, to proceed with the budgeted amount in this year's fiscal budget for the city attorney's department.
No. Well, the budgeted amount, not
Budgeted
the
amount.
additional amount.
Right, the budgeted amount.
The budgeted
and
amount,
the
the
approved budget
688.
that you adopted in, that began July 1. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, so if you look, for example, yes,
Okay.
let's make sure we're saying the same thing though, so that we're clear. If we look at, I'm looking at the city attorney, sorry, hold on one second. It is page, it's attachment C, page 268.
Yes.
If you see the city attorney line, the budget is 688,800. The amount expended year to date is 403.
Right, no, I just want to make
Oh.
sure that that's what we're saying.
That's what we're saying. Or that's
Okay,
what I'm
so
proposing.
That's right.
So that means we have not too big of a runway to have you come back with and again, I'm trying to set the expectation for my colleagues. There's going to be a request for more money, but we'll have more information.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that,
Okay.
yeah, we're good. Okay, thank you.
Ms. Cho, is this how is that for you? Is that okay? You can live with it? All right. Does everybody understand the motion and the
I do.
second? Okay. Any
And
more
we're-
questions?
Yeah, we're just asking basically are we asking for any kind of deep dive into an analysis of legal expenditures that have happened in the past that we might be able to?
I'm not asking
Okay,
for that.
that's all I was asking. We're not asking for that. We're just simply asking for. We're not asking.
I would
Yeah.
add though that with this, if we're bringing it back, I mean, I would want to look at, our firm has direct control over the work that we're doing. For some of the other matters that, for example, the
water adjudication,
the TOT or the water, some of these other matters, I would probably want to look back at some of the previous invoices to get a sense
And
for
we should.
what the expenditures have been thus far, and or at least have
Absolutely.
staff evaluate that and provide us with some recommendations.
That would be really
so that would
critical,
be part of
actually.
it. Is
Yep.
what I'm trying to say. I don't know that it would be the fully deep dive that you're asking for, but there would be some evaluation of
Yeah,
that.
no, and I understand. I'm not actually asking for a deep dive within this, within this particular
Absolutely.
time frame, but I just was wondering
Absolutely.
if it would be something
Yeah.
that would be part, whether it ancillary or whatever, would be part of it.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank
It would
you.
definitely have to be because we'd be basing the request upon the trend.
Yes.
Okay.
Cool. We got a motion in a second.
Miss City Attorney, just confirming that we will be returning at a regular meeting in March for the motion?
That is correct.
Okay. All right. Ready for a roll call, Mayor.
But I think, yes, go, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Mang.
Yes.
Councilmember Lang.
Yes.
Mayor Gilman.
Yes.
Councilmember Rule.
I'm going to abstain.
Councilmember Whitman.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Cool. Thank you for all that hard work. Wow.
Yeah.
Heavy
Thank you.
duty.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Great job.
All right, it's 9:00. Do we need a break? Are we okay? Keep going?
Let's knock it out.
Yeah.
Okay,
keep going.
we're on number 9.
They've been waiting here a long
Yep, concept review, expand existing tree ordinance protections. All right.
I gotta tell you, you guys really try my patience.
Whoa, man, sorry about that.
I hate budgets.
Sorry.
I'm Jan Scow. I am a local arborist. So first of all, there's nothing controversial about what I've been trying to do.
But
Everybody-
actually, just real quick point of order. Do we want to first, Jan, hang on one second.
okay.
Yeah.
Have the mayor
Thank you. No, go ahead,
introduce
sorry.
the item, and then I'm going to kick it over to Mr. Seibert, and then Mr. Seibert will call
Well, I
you
introduced
up.
it already, the existing
Right.
tree ordinance protections. So
I'm gonna
let's
go
go to
sit down.
staff and then
Mr.
go to
Seibert?
Jan.
Well, hold on. Jan,
No, stay close
Jan
by.
is clearly chomping at the bit here to have the discussion.
No, it's wonderful. It's great.
But I'd like Lucas to set the table a little bit here,
Yeah, okay.
please.
However,
Thank you.
I would like to at least open up the discussion. This
Okay.
is a concept review item. This item first came before this body in November of 2024. Since then, there's been a lot of work that's been done both with Jan and with the city attorney's office. But then in addition to comments that we heard from the community during that time, which then had us do kind of a little bit of a deeper look into one of the ordinances that is within our county, which is Thousand Oaks. That's one of the attachments that you have here. You can see that they certainly have some provisions within their code, somewhat mimicking ours, but also somewhat different. In addition to that, I also included the community forest management plan. The reason why is there was a lot of requests that were identified or tasks that were identified during the November discussion that are already covered under our community forest management plan. So we can check some of these boxes and even start looking closer at what this management plan can do for this community and can help support some of the council's goals. In addition to that, there was a lot of discussion that Jan and I went through kind of line item by line item with this red line that you're seeing tonight. Now, it isn't an ordinance. It's not in the framework of an ordinance. It's in the framework of a discussion. And that's really what we've brought forward tonight, to have that discussion, kind of walk through. We did kind of bleed all over it for good reason. If you remember when I brought forward this discussion in November of 2024, it was because I was seeing a trend that I was seeing in my department, and it wasn't moving in a direction that felt comfortable. almost felt like to a certain degree there were experts that were using it kind of in the wrong direction. So it kind of was a red flag, at least what I was seeing in the community development department. And so then we've been tasked with taking a closer look at the ordinance itself and how to kind of tighten up some of those pieces. So anyway, with that,
Thank you.
I think Jan wants to
May I
add some
speak?
comments.
Absolutely, please
So,
do.
first of all, you stole about 2/3 of the very short amount I was going to say.
Sorry.
Okay.
But I'm going to say it again anyway. There's nothing about this that is supposed to be controversial. Everybody loves trees. We good with that? Okay. So this all started when I was relatively new in town because Scott Tompkinson from Pax Environmental called my attention to a construction project on the east side of town where a lot of construction activity was going on under protected trees. I saw that project and I was alarmed. I was more alarmed after looking at the ordinance and realizing that it was not at all clear how trees were supposed to be protected during construction. That was my goal to start with. So I offered to review and revise and improve the existing ordinance so that it was written more clearly. Thanks to Lucas, I was able to work with a city staff member for many weeks on cleaning up the language and strengthening it so it was clearer and more protective of our trees. That's the goal. Nothing controversial here. The work was completed in 2022. This is a lousy mic.
We can hear you well.
2022, and finally brought before the outgoing city council in 2024. A couple of you may remember that since you're still here. They made suggestions and the work was then tabled due to more pressing matters. Lucas and I have been over it again, making minor tweaks, and that's what you now see before you. The intention on my part was never to make any major changes to the ordinance, but rather to make the ordinance that was in place a better document so that it could be understood and enforced more easily. Mic drop.
No, that's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
And just to clarify what's being asked for here, to Lucas. So it's in this concept review, you're just asking for the conversation, to this discussion, to move forward with anything that we've seen that we would like to ask you about to go forward at another time.
Right. So I think it's important to note that there are some interesting things that have been included in this. One is an educational piece that would be, so there's a framework behind it within the red lines that we're seeing here, but there's not necessarily a policy in terms of how to spearhead that forward. That obviously is something that's an outside document that can always be massaged with guidance from council.
I'm not trying to venture into discussion too much. So, but this is, I guess, a question to ask you how you would feel about this or what your opinion is. Since there was a lot to review, there was a lot of pages to look at, okay? And I also thought that it would behoove and interest the community to be a part of it in some workshop form that would be dedicated to the subject. I thought, if we had a workshop that was 2 hours during the day, a weekend day, let's say, that the public was completely involved, that might be the right forum then to move this forward with some detail. I found a couple little things that I had questions about, not concerns. So then I thought, that would be cool or interesting to bring it up in that format, but I'm not trying to postpone it. I'm trying to widen it, if I could do that. But what would your reaction to that be? A kind of a dedicated workshop. Does it feel like a postponement?
Not necessarily,
Okay.
as long as we're moving in the direction of some sort of an ordinance change. Because remember,
Yes.
in 2024, when we brought this forward, it was
Mhm.
because of a current concern that continues to come up over and over again.
Understood.
Even today, even this last month,
Mhm.
I've seen 2 or 3 examples where I look at it and I'm like,
Mhm.
we're following code, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's the right
No,
way.
I understand. And we had a couple of really large trees recently that came under question about, do we get other opinions and under what criteria and all that. So obviously it's apt and everybody's interested. And I think I can imagine we would probably want to do something that is holistic and improved. So
Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
I think a workshop is definitely within the wheelhouse, certainly of what this community would want to see.
Mm-hmm.
We have several experts that are either within the city or surrounding the jurisdiction of the city itself that would certainly like to come participate and provide some input.
Mm-hmm.
This is a stage to do that, but maybe on a Saturday at 11 a.m. It's more amenable to that individual, those groups,
I'm
right?
just throwing it out there as an idea. But yeah.
I'm open to the idea.
Okay. Thank you.
Certainly.
I would support that.
Me too, because I think there are other pieces that go to this, like the affordability of working with an arborist for some of our residents has come up as a question for me. And what if it's your neighbor's tree and you're having a problem with it? So I think that would be really helpful for people.
That's come up for me as well. Okay, but if it's okay, I'll go to public comment. I have two, at least here in person. Laura Nielsen, please, and then Len Clay. Thanks. Hi.
Hi, thanks for having me, council members. I'm the executive director of Ojai Trees. I'm responsible for the organization now that Garrett Clifford has left. And on behalf of the board, I want to ask the council to seriously consider this revised ordinance and passing it quickly as well. If we do a workshop with community, we don't feel like it's a place to have regular citizen input. It really requires accurate scientific input in order to have a great tree policy that's aligned with sister communities like Thousand Oaks. Our tree ordinance currently is weaker than that just in the county. So you just step outside city lines and it entirely changes. The diameter of a protected tree in Ojai is 8 inches, and in the county it's 2. Now, in the terms of the life of the tree, that's the difference between 8 years and up to 32. So there's a crazy discrepancy between what they have in the county and what we have here. And for a place that loves its trees as much as we do, it's kind of sad that we're not working harder to protect them. And every day that goes by, we're losing more trees. And Ojai trees can't keep up with the planting to replace them, to be honest. And in an environment where trees are facing challenges from fire, climate change, disease, and invasive pests like the gold-spotted oak borer, which I don't know if you've heard about, but that puts our oaks at risk. I think we need to do everything we can that's in our control to protect what we have here. It's so special in the Ojai Valley. So thank you on behalf of Ojai Trees, and I hope we continue to put this ordinance before the council to get it passed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Len Clay, please.
Good evening again, Len Clafe, live in the city of Ojai. I want to second everything the last speaker just said. We need to act, and it's been years, and now is the time we can no longer fool around. There was one aspect of it that I wanted to comment on, and that's Southern California Edison. I can't tell you how many times my wife or I have seen an Edison truck chopping, clomping, destroying, mutilating trees without a permit. When we've called City Hall and somebody responds usually reasonably quickly and they go away. Sometimes they run away when we call them on it, just face to face. But it's absurd that my wife or I or anybody else has to go confront Consolidated Edison and tell them to stop chopping down trees. They have no idea what they're doing most of the time. And it's my understanding that they're in violation of ordinances most of the time. And as a part of that, the other problem with the cutting trees is there's no name of the tree cutter on their truck. So, we're told that it's the electric company, but who's the tree company? Do they have a permit to operate in the city of Ojai? All these things are critical because they just march around thinking they can do whatever they want. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We've all seen what you're talking about. Anybody online?
Mayor, we had one gentleman.
Oh, please
who
come
was
up.
Going to speak
Yes.
previously.
We want to hear you. Hello.
So again, my name is Michael Inaba. I'm a local arborist.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
I would like to address some of the comments that were just made and hopefully calm all of the nerves, because a lot of the information just presented is not factual. And I can show you why, but it's a little bit longer conversation. An 8-inch oak is not 32 years old, not in Ojai anyway. A 2-inch oak is not the county protected standard. It's 3.5. They use girth, not diameter, for that matter. So having accurate facts and dispelling some of the sense of urgency and panic about losing trees will help us make a better, more informed decision. And that's why I would say this process absolutely depends on other input, because putting a sole person in charge of the scientific information, when we can see how poorly represented that information is, we really need to bring others to the table and say, hey, haven't we already done this before? The answer is yes, we have done it before. We've solved these problems. We've solved them with Edison in the city of Ojai. We've solved them with CAL FIRE, County Fire, Fire Safe Council, Land Conservancy, watersheds. It's all in the letter there.
Mm-hmm.
We have worked to build consensus that actually builds a sense of cooperation, a sense of shared purpose. And these are the things that will actually lead to a better ordinance, an ordinance that makes sense, that is enforceable. When I was given this opportunity to look at the red line that Mr. Seibert talked about, it was hard to read, frankly. It's a mess. There's so much inconsistency there. And to see that references do not agree, that it includes misspellings. I understand it's for discussion, but whoever did this, it looks like it was thrown together overnight by one person who didn't have the information. And I think the council deserves better than that, and I'm willing to help with that. But I was only given one day to respond. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Cool.
Mayor, we do have one raised hand on
Okay,
Zoom
thank
from
you.
Renee.
All right, please.
Renee, you may speak now.
What's did
Did
he offer to hand out that you are going to distribute?
Yes,
to us?
I'll pass that out, and it
perfect.
will
I
be.
just wanted to make sure, 'cause I know we had.
Yes,
Thanks.
it will be included
Yep.
in the record.
All's good. Please, Renee, go ahead.
Hello.
Hi.
Thank you very much for getting this on the agenda. I do appreciate the effort that was put into this to get it back on, but I'm also believe strongly what Mike Inaba was talking about, that we've got to build consensus around good management practices and not try to rush something through. So I think that there should be more of a workshop and invite people to come and talk and give feedback. For example, as I was going through it, it was very difficult to follow, what you were proposing from Thousand Oaks and from the tree protection plan that's already been developed. It was very confusing to follow what it is you're actually going to be proposing. And the other thing is, even though I strongly do support protecting our trees, I do believe the root protection zone is important. And if you say 20 feet is good, then I'll go along with your 20 feet. But there are certain things, such as a tiered permitting system, so that routine, low risk, low maintenance, simple, affordable removals can be handled separate from, more higher scrutiny events. And I don't know, but I just think the city's already had a hard time getting permits issued that look at trees, and I just cannot imagine something like this going into effect and having the city be able to scrutinize it from their desk, giving permits. I think it's going to be very difficult to administer something like this. So I think you've got to get buy-in from the community about what you're trying to do first, so that everybody knows ahead of time that this is a good plan and we all want to adopt it. So I think you need to take more time with this and talk to Mr. Inaba, not rush something through, and get some accurate consistency with the county and the city. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's all, Mayor.
Thanks. Well, there was an idea on the table for a workshop, and I heard some interest.
Yeah, and I think a workshop is a good thing, but I also was kind of struck by the idea that there is science behind this. There is, best practices that the community really doesn't know. I think that, yes, for sure, there are questions. Can you get incentives? Can you get, chits to pay for it? Those kinds of things are great for the community to be involved in. But then there are scientific questions that the community is just not. I mean, I'm not qualified to be able to answer those questions, and I wouldn't want the responsibility of it. But so I'm thinking of a hybrid in some way. I think we do need to get buy-in from all of the people who are concerned, and the ecologists who work with trees, the arborists and the organizations. We all should have buy-in. So there's that sort of workshop, that's more professionally oriented, more scientifically oriented, more best practices oriented.
Yeah.
So, but then there's the community, who can come in and say, this is, how I'm going to need help to make this happen.
If I might offer, it seems like
yeah.
you can design a workshop well where you have a panel of experts on issues, and then there's parts where the community gets involved. So I think it's the workshop design can really get at it.
Yeah, and I think it needs to accommodate both. Like, I
Agreed.
don't want to be muddled by people coming. I mean, myself would be one of them who would come in and say, well, I don't want this tree to be as I don't want to stop the process
I get it.
with that kind of participation.
Understood. Does anybody have any objections to that?
So I do have a few comments. Number one, I think the idea of a workshop is a good idea, but I also think the idea that we need to do this sooner rather than later. This has kind of been on our plate for quite a while. Mr. Scow and Lucas, have brought this to us previously, and in general, I want to see us be engaged in best practices for oak tree health, and I think I'd also like to see us, not necessarily in the concept of this amendment, but I'd like to see us eventually address the issue of defensible space vis-a-vis, our protected trees, because there's, we've all heard stories about people who've been told to cut their oak trees down because they are too close to their home. But then what I understand is that the oak trees are not the fire risk; they're potentially beneficial, and we need to address that. What I've seen that makes me upset and feel about this urgently is numerous trees that have just been hacked by someone who didn't, I assume, never worked with an oak tree before.
I think we've all seen that. Yeah.
So I'm interested in, Lucas mentioned the education program. I mean, I want to make sure that anybody who's working on trees over a certain size has passed and been approved by our city to do the work. And a minimum, I want to make sure that everybody's got a Ojai business license before they work on our trees. And then set up potentially some type of, check and balance system that assures us that they know that there are restrictions on what they can do to a tree.
It sounds like you're talking about things that the workshop would get into. Am I understanding you right? Okay.
Yeah, but I'm trying to precursor the workshop with some of the things I'd like to see us address.
Okay.
And I will say that, so the digging under the trees is a big issue. And ironically, last night I was watching the news, and I think it was in like Altadena, where the community was very upset because Edison's been digging under oak trees. And, there was this back and forth about whether, Edison's got it all covered versus this is going to damage and kill these trees eventually because you just can't dig in certain zones and expect a tree to survive.
So can we, if we do proceed with the workshop, can we not lose sight of it and have it be timely? Are you okay with that? And we go, and it's interesting and exciting.
It can be timely.
Okay.
But I will admit that there's a lot of items that have been coming through CDD that have been timely. So just recognize that we're working through each one of those. I do think a workshop actually does make sense because, as I was saying before, we have several experts that I think through a panel discussion, examples, and then I'm calling it kind of an input. How did I frame this? Input, inform, and educate. So you hit all three of those boxes. I think you're getting a lot out of this, either informing or helping to educate the way in which this ordinance is either drafted or redrafted, so that we're getting some consensus.
And a lot of these things that have been mentioned are in the ordinance. These are components that are in there, and they just need to be articulated. The training, the requirements for the tree services, and that it's very important. And,
True.
And
Fair enough.
this is
I have
something
one
we want.
question. When is the time when most people trim their trees? Is it the springtime when they've grown, or is it in the fall? When is the hot time for
It's
permits?
very interesting. I see it year round. It's not as if there's
After a big storm.
a time frame in which it doesn't take place. I would say this: the migratory bird piece is always something that factors in anytime that we're getting a tree report come through an arborist report, essentially. So those pieces are always in play as well, and that's basically in the
springtime.
Yeah, thank you.
Because I was thinking that if we could coordinate it for a time before that really busy time and give people as much information as they could have.
It's in April.
It's in April.
Yeah.
So
it probably actually makes sense if we're going to do it. It would be basically in March.
Okay. If we can do it.
I'd said it out loud.
Yeah.
And we will hold you to it.
No, we understand. We know there's so much in your department right now. We get it.
And I just wanted, just overarchingly, I think if we came up with some guiding principles or visions that, that basically was overarching for the things that we then put in, like, basically our values around the trees. What we think and how we look at the, or how we look at the ordinance. We basically connect it back to some sort of overarching vision of, our relationship with trees and what we believe them to be in the city of Ojai to us.
Okay.
That would make it, just connect it back in some way. Highfalutin, philosophical.
With details, like.
With details.
Okay.
Yes.
The understory.
Yes.
Do you have enough?
That sounds like a purpose and intent of the ordinance itself, which certainly helps to guide the rest of the,
Thank you. I appreciate it. And I know a lot of work went into this. Okay. Moving on to number 10. Mr. Quillisi.
Welcome, Mr. City Clerk. Mayor, I'd like to allow our city clerk to deliver this report, but I would like to provide some background as your chief staff in our structure where we have an elected clerk and a staff clerk.
Yep.
So some background here is we are entering a phase of proactive city clerk's office improvements. We're lucky to have Mr. Quillisi, our elected city clerk, who would like to be up here delivering reports and help us with our internal process improvements. We're lucky to have City Manager Harvey, who's great with guidance in the structure as well. So what we're trying to do is to address some neglected records management. Did I miss something?
What's happening?
Oh, there's just I'm hearing the conversation in the back of the room that I wish I wouldn't hear.
Oh, you guys, if you can, go outside just so we can, yeah, thank you so much. Okay.
I'll wrap up my background.
Okay.
We are really in a proactive phase to address some neglected records management and some process improvements. You just adopted a budget amendment where it shows we're doing this. We're going to be moving forward with some retention of our old archives. We're going to be entering a phase where we're going to be updating our very outdated retention schedule. I could go on with the list, but I won't. And a part of that is adjusting to the new times. Before I hand it over to Steve, this stems from this item that Steve will present to you. The FPPC last year made it electronic only requirement for our Form 700s, which I know you as elected officials are familiar with. So we're following their rule, and as part of an industry standard, we're going to be going through a service called NetFile to allow our campaign filings to be electronically filed as well. So I won't give too much, but I just want to say we're adjusting to these norms, and it's really awesome to have Steve
thank you.
Back us up with this interest.
Super. Please.
Thank you, Weston. So item 10, in short, is a proposed ordinance to add an Article 5 to Title 2, Chapter 1 of the Municipal Code to require electronic filing of campaign disclosures, statements, and statements of economic interest, that things aimed at avoiding a conflict of interest. Okay, so a little bit of background. A piece of the state government code called the Political Reform Act requires elected officials, candidates committees, and designated staff, board members, commissioners, and consultants to file statements of economic interest. Okay. Sometimes filing with the state or the city or the county. And he mentioned the FPPC, that's the Fair Political Practices Commission. That mandates online electronic filing for those that are filing with the state, which is all of you folks, and certain others. And it strongly encourages online electronic filing with cities, or as they say, local agencies. For example, I'm on the board of directors of the sanitary district, and I fall into that category as well. Okay, so Section 84615 of the Government Code, which is part of this Political Reform Act, authorizes a city to require online filing by passing an ordinance to say that. And that is what we're requesting here. The ordinance will save time for filers. It'll save a lot of time for the city. There'll be less paper flying around, fewer people handwriting stuff and carrying it to the city clerk's office. And this proposed NetFile system is both secure and effective. In addition, the cost is, I think you said, about $3,000 a year.
Correct.
And that's within budget that's already been authorized. So the request here is to have the city approve an ordinance that requires this type of electronic filing to make it not only more trackable, more reliable, more secure, but also save a lot of time and staff effort. So that's the request. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mayor, one thing I'd like to add is a part of our improvements is our role as elections officials. This will help us modernize our elections process for our nomination papers and everything and information going forward. And that's one of our goals as well. Is this
And
this
4 of
pro-
you are
approach.
running this year.
Correct.
You mean we're eligible to run?
Or not.
Yeah, we'll see. Well,
Four of your seats are up
That's
for
it, that's
election this year.
thank you. No, you've said it clearly. I'm sold, but questions for staff? I have no public comments. Mr. Montgomery, anything online?
And no raised hands on Zoom, Mayor.
Can I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion. Let's go for it.
I'll
second.
Okay, please. Yep, great.
Great. Roll call.
Thank you.
Councilmember Lang.
Yes.
Councilmember Rule.
Yes.
Councilmember Whitman.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Meng.
Yes.
Mayor Gilman.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for your patience and hanging out. No, but we're all moving electronically. It's great. It's exactly what we need to be doing. It's the movement of our whole city.
Continuing the automation.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you.
And expect some more from the clerk's office in the
Okay.
coming year.
All right, we're moving on to number 11, resolution amending the salary schedule to update the salary range for classifications of accountant 1 and accountant 2.
Yes, Mr. Holman, Mr. Mayor, Ms. Holman is here. It's late.
Thank you
I'm
so
sorry.
much. I know. Yes.
Sorry. Apologies, Kathy
Yep. Thank you.
and Mayor.
Honorable Mayor and
Ah.
City Council Member.
Thanks.
Thank you for hearing me tonight. We are here tonight to recommend an adoption of a resolution to amend our salary schedule to update the salary ranges for the classifications of Accountant 1 and Accountant 2 effective as of February 11th, 2026. Why are we here tonight? Well, we're trying to improve our efforts for recruiting and attracting and retaining qualified candidates in our work pool. In early 2024, the City Council conducted a comprehensive classification and compensation survey to ensure that Ojai is competitive in the local market to assist with these efforts. The results of that survey were implemented in the 24-25 fiscal year, and in the 25-26, this current 25-26 fiscal year, Council also approved a 2.5% cost of living adjustment to further try and maintain our position in the marketplace. Despite these measures, we are having difficulty filling our vacant accountant role. This challenge is not solely our own. It is shared amongst municipalities across the state due to a shortage of qualified candidates. With a broader salary survey scheduled for this spring that will be brought back to this board for consideration as part of the budget process, we felt immediate action is necessary now to address the accountant vacancy. Following the direction that we heard on January 13, 2026 from council, we did a focus survey to review the accountant classifications, and our survey found that our position is 9% below the market median. And in order to rectify this, we feel that we should adjust the salary ranges tied to these classifications immediately as opposed to waiting for the fiscal year. This adjustment will assist to ensure that our finance department is adequately staffed to maintain the city's fiscal health and meet our reporting obligations. We recommend that you consider adoption, or you do adopt that resolution to amend that salary schedule for those two positions now. So we can then go out and post for the position of accountant and hopefully attract qualified candidates to fill that critical role that we have.
Thank you. And we see the survey on page 543, attachment A.
Yep, I attached the
Yeah.
survey for the accountant 2 level.
Thanks.
And I just went looking over on page 543. It says, the top Ojai accountant 2. The math that I did, that's actually the dollar amounts are for accountant 1 position.
That the survey document, the attachment, the current survey that's listed, the current salary that's listed there is the salary that exists as of today on the current salary schedule. If you do the math on the proposed resolution or the proposed salary schedule, you will see that is a higher figure. So it just so happens that the proposed accountant 1 range is the existing accountant 2 range.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So the accountant 2 range today is the proposed range for the accountant 1 tomorrow.
Okay. No, that makes sense.
So it looked to me like our based on the survey, our minimum base salary is, maybe in line with the county, but where we fall short is on the maximum base salary. But I'm not sure about how raising our maximum base salary would help your ability to recruit for the position. Do you have any comments about that? Because I'm kind of leaning towards the idea that our so what's being proposed, as I understand, the base salary of $7,700 would put us second in the county. Had a lot of much bigger cities than ours, but I'm seeing that our maximum base salary is one of the lowest in the county. So how would increasing the maximum base salary improve or not improve your recruiting efforts?
So we have to kind of back up a little bit. So when we establish a salary, we have an established salary range. And I don't want to say the word philosophy because we don't really have a philosophy, but the way the standardization of our salary schedule is, there's a 22% width between the bottom of your salary bottom of your salary range and the top of your salary range. When we do our surveys, the methodology that's been consistently used here is that we survey top of the range to top of the range. And that survey is then how we set our new maximum base salary is that we set it at the median, meaning that we take the middle number and we set it as close as possible to that middle number on that median, or median, labor market median. So we have to look at the top. We're always looking at that top level of the salary range. The top of our salary range is what we're always looking at. And then your salary range for the bottom is just based on that standardized width of the 22%.
And would, I mean, so that's kind of a philosophy, but it seems like that would be an easy philosophy to change if.
So let me just jump in here. So this is standardized across all classifications. There's 5 steps in every classification range. I mean, we do have a couple that I think there's 7 steps, I think. No, they're all 5 now. Okay, good. We standardized that. So if you're going to be creating more steps in one, you're creating this anomaly, which, it's a family of jobs, and it all fits together like puzzle pieces, if that makes sense. We think that this is a good and important first step. Basically, we're jumping ahead. We were planning on bringing back to you a salary survey that had results for all classifications as part of the budget process, and building into that budget the request that you bring all classifications up to the median of the market. But we're jumping ahead here with this particular one. We don't think it's prudent. So let me give you some more information. So within the finance department, the accountant reports to the accounting manager, and the accounting manager then reports to the finance director. So you have this hierarchy. So making the accountant make more than the accounting manager is problematic if you're taking those types of approaches. So it fits. We try to limit the amount of compression between classifications in the hierarchical structure within each department, if that makes sense.
Okay. I'll ask the question just a little bit differently, maybe. And that is when you summarize your, market medium numbers, are we talking there about the minimum, or are we talking about the maximum?
Maximum.
Salary surveys are always based on the maximum step in the range. That's the best practice that you use when you're doing those. You go off of the maximum step.
Okay.
Well, and also I'm seeing the fiscal impact of the proposal you list as minimal.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm just reading the words, right?
You know, it is anticipated that the current vacancies are going to absorb whatever cost. We're already in February.
Right.
By the time we post if you guys approve this, by the time we post a position, someone's not going to be on board till April.
I see.
So we're looking at 3 months in this fiscal year.
Understood. I do have one public comment. Clay Creasy, please.
Well, tonight is definitely the night for the nerds, so welcome to a nerd party. Number one, I am in favor of raising the accountant 1 and 2 salaries. As I pointed out in a note to you several weeks ago, I think reason we have been unsuccessful in hiring this person has nothing to do with a theoretical, systematic shortage of accountants. If you're not willing to pay market rates, you will have a systematic shortage of fill in the blank. So paying the right amount is how you hire people. Number one, I don't think this is enough. This is actually going to pay less than the average, more than the median. But the real question that we have to ask as a city are two things. The questions are two things. Number one, do we want average or below average people, or do we want above average people? And is the cost of living in Ojai above average or below average? Well, I think the answer is we want above average people, and we have, unfortunately, above average costs. So for us to actually offer a salary that's below average is going to kind of back into what our city manager calls a systematic shortage. We're not paying the amount we have to pay to get good people. How much would it cost us to get good people? I do agree the financial impact is trivial. In fact, it's probably positive to pay more because you're no longer going to be paying $300,000 per year to MV Chang and Ide Bailey and all those other camp followers that come along when you can't fill positions for many months, if not years at a time. So now is not the day to indulge in false economies. Now is the day to hire the good accountants who will keep all these numbers straight, who will actually deliver to you a budget proposal for legal expenses that makes sense on day one, as opposed to having to go back and recircle on that sort of thing. So getting cheap on accountants, and pardon my parochial interest in that, is very bad economics. The other question you have to ask is, gee whiz, if I raise these people, as the HR specialist pointed out, does that create compression elsewhere? Your entire salary load for this city, including fringes, is around $4 million a year. If you raised everybody 10%, that'd be $400,000. Well, that's roughly what you pay on accounting consultants alone. So, and forget all the other consultants. So, dumb economics is how we get painted into these corners, and you guys need to be smarter than that. Thank you.
Thank you.
No raised hands on Zoom, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. I'd like to propose that we adopt the increase, the salary range increase, as proposed.
I'll second it.
Okay. Any more conversation?
Well, I have to say I found Mr. Creasy's argument to be quite compelling. You know, I mean, there's, you know, the price of things, you know, the cost of things, that Oscar Wilde quote. So I'm not going to support this. I think that we should actually, I found his argument compelling, and I agree with it. So I don't think it's enough.
Well, if I might offer to say, I guess what I would love to do is say, if we want to have a general thought about increasing, not just for this job, that it sounds like that's what they're going to be doing going forward, and that I would rely on HR then to say, to come back and say, actually, you know, it's working well or it's not working well. So happy to say that, but I'm hoping we'll see a general conversation around all the staff, not just this position. Just a thought.
Didn't we just have that?
Well, I just heard
Yeah, yeah.
him propose that he's planning on doing that for all the steps coming forward, but this one now.
Okay.
But whatever.
Yeah, my only comment is going to be that it does fit something that we've been trying to approach, which is not hire outside contractors.
Mhm.
To have our staff and to hopefully promote institutional knowledge through doing that, and on that basis, I'd support it.
Okay. Sounds like we got it. So,
Yep.
please.
Yes, motion understood.
Okay.
Roll call, Councilmember Mang. Excuse me, Mayor
Yes.
Pro Tem Mang.
Yes.
Councilmember Rule.
No.
Councilmember Lang.
Yes.
Councilmember Whitman.
Yes.
Mayor Gilman.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. So I know we're just about almost approaching 10, so I want to ask about these items coming forward. Number 12 was offering, you're offering dollar amounts basically on the tactics, which is to be received. On 13 and 14, I'm just wanting to ask, I guess, is there something that needs to happen now that we need to address?
We can consider all three of these items at a future date if you like. That is totally fine.
That I guess it's so difficult with the goals and the tactics. We just have to move it to number one, and know we want to spend because it's like the most interesting thing.
If you,
Yeah,
well,
go
I
ahead.
don't want to get us in
No,
trouble.
go ahead,
but
please.
Here's a thought. I mean,
Yeah.
you could direct us to stamp draft on this spreadsheet and a disclaimer on the bottom saying that this has not yet been reviewed. This will be reviewed by the council.
Mm-hmm.
We could put it on your website with your goals.
Uh-huh.
If you like. I'm just saying this doesn't have
Sure.
to happen, just so it's out there. Maybe that might give us some urgency to get to it in the future. I don't know, just a thought.
Well, because tell me, basically on item 12, we do have a webpage on the site that shows our goals and
Yes,
these
you do.
tactics. It would be very nice to have this on there to at least say
We just would stamp it all over the place with disclaimers so that it was clear that it was staff created. It's not been reviewed and approved by council
Yeah.
yet, but this was going before you. And
like draft in progress.
yes, we would make sure of that. I think it might be nice because you have decided on these tactics.
Right.
What you haven't, it's a minor last part, which is, it's not minor, but it's like, these are the rough estimates of what's involved. And it should be a healthy discussion, I would agree.
I would like to see that personally.
When would we bring it back? Because
We're ready right now.
Because my concern is poor people are up for election.
Yeah.
And we haven't made, a lot of progress, and it would be nice to hone in on something that's, fits into the budget,
Sure.
fits into the time frame that we
Yeah.
can get it done. So
Absolutely.
at the end of terms, it's like, look what we did.
I have a totally different opinion than that.
Oh, okay.
Which is, especially when I see the outlook that we received in December, I go, wow, I feel like we had an amazing year. That's my opinion. But so for me, very much has happened on this. It's more like saying, how then can we keep driving this piece here to say, where are things that we can then tackle? So then I'm not thinking about the election. I'm thinking, how can we just keep us going with the momentum that we've got? Whoever ends up being here later. So it's a small point, but anyway, I would personally love to see this be on the website with the disclaimer.
If I don't see anybody who's vehemently opposed to that, again, I will definitely make sure it has disclaimers, and so it's clear that the council hasn't adopted it in this draft.
It's also visually clearer.
I think it's just good. What you have done is you have identified these tactics.
Yeah.
So these are the ones that you agreed upon. It's just the
Yeah.
dollar amounts.
Understood.
And then I'm just one other quick question. I'm surprised so many project costs are $15,000.
Well, and this is why we want to have your discussion. And it's because when we really looked at them, there were words like investigate,
Okay.
evaluate, and we thought, you know what, we're not going to put 50,000 or 100 because what if we came back and you said this concept stinks? We don't want you to do this anymore.
Right.
So.
Well, I mean, you brought up a good examples at sometime in the past where you said, if we evaluated the road paving acceleration and you put $5 million, that's just, maybe it would mean that
if you
we
did 2 years
decided,
in 1 year, that's what it would cost. But that doesn't
the
mean you're going to do it.
evaluation, not the
Right,
investigation.
exactly.
Understood.
Well, I'm happy to take that as direction and do that immediately.
Does anybody object to that? No. Okay. Sounds like you got it. So we're going to table 13 and 14. for another date?
Well, we're also gonna
12.
we're gonna bring back.
I mean, well, 12 we're saying we're posting to the website at least for now, and then we'll bring 12 back.
Yes.
So 12, 13, and 14. for
Yes,
another time.
right,
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Mayor,
Yeah.
if I may, from the clerk's seat,
Go
we
ahead.
are discussing item 12, and we do have a raised hand on Zoom.
Oh, okay, great.
So Renee, you have the floor.
Mhm.
Thank you. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak on this, because I do believe that you have put a lot of time and effort into the goals and tactics, and I appreciate that effort. But I would like to emphasize, because I think we're trying to turn a corner now on your financial management and your financial stability. And I think anything you can do right now to strengthen goal number 8, financial stability, through adopting of key financial policies that were recommended by Ide Bailey. In particular, there were 2 policies that I think the city really should consider adopting, and it will help going forward. In particular, the long-term financial planning policy and the capital asset policy should be prioritized. Those were mentioned in their report, but it just kind of got dropped. And the long-term planning policy, I think, would help with multi-year forecasting of your budgets and your longer-term capital projects that we know oftentimes take 2 or 3 years to complete, and how you can build up the reserves to support those projects. I think if you have a long-term financial planning policy, it will help guide that decision-making and that forecasting process. The other thing is the capital asset policy. I think you really should clearly define the capitalization standards and life cycle planning for the equipment that you're purchasing, and making lots of purchasing decisions now with Measure C funding. I think that will help distinguish between infrastructure investment and ongoing maintenance, and I think that's important for your financial future planning. So anyway, I think you need to that this will help provide the guardrails also, so you can have a more sustainable future. So I hope you will consider expanding on that effort. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's all, Mayor.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So I guess I would hope that we could take 12 and move it to the number 1 spot sometime in the near future.
Next meeting, if you want.
Okay. Yeah, every meeting's full these days.
I know.
For the
Status
progress
update on the
report.
progress of the goals.
Okay. Thank you.
So you'll get it twice in the near term.
All right. Okay. Council member reports, anybody? Or future agenda items? I know. You're like, what? How? Why?
Well, I'm just going to make a request. So a couple of you
Yeah.
responded. We do have a parking lot list of items, and we would like your help. And some
Yes.
some of you gotten back to us. Just give us a priority. We're
Mhm.
trying to find out where the concentric circles are, and those that
Yep.
are concentric circles, we're going to throw on a near-term agenda.
Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Okay, with that, we're adjourned.